America tonight. I'm so grateful for that. Thank you, Mayor
I
Cooper,
know,
for your support.
We're a little
Thank you,
late.
Governor
We're a
Lee.
little late.
Thank you
My
to the
apologies,
Nashville Convention
everybody.
and
I was
Visitors
busy.
Corporation
I had to get my
and the
flag
Nashville
pin,
Chamber of Commerce, all of you.
going. I don't know if you can
But
see
most
that.
of all, I just want to
I don't get
say
to
a
wear my
heartfelt
Capitol
thank you to
building
the
stuff
students of Belmont
very much.
University for sharing their campus with you, all of
Hold
you
on a
this
second. There we
week.
go. All right, there we go. I'm gonna mute him real quick. All right, how you guys doing today? How you guys doing? Oh, yeah. Sorry about the running late, AJ. Yeah, we are getting our coffee ready. Look, we got our KeithsDad cup, which is unofficial KeithsDad cup, but it is. What I want to do today is I want to make some predictions if we can. All right, you guys got any predictions? Because what I'd like to do is drink a cup of coffee every time the prediction comes. Just take a sip. You know, one of the things is, now, you know the new rule is they're going to mute the mic, right? Hold on, they're going to mute the mic, and so they're going to mute the mic for only the opening statements during the question. So that 2-minute statement, so they ask a question, they get 2 minutes to answer it, right? Mics are going to get muted for that. However, I think I take a drink of coffee every time Trump interjects beyond that 2-minute statement. So that's a prediction that he's going to do some major interrupting. I mean, we know that's what he does. Now, how about anything else? How about every time Trump says the word everyone knows. Let me see. You will hear "but" at least more than 5 times per person. How about, okay, we'll drink with every time we hear the word "but." Oh, that's not why we're here, clickers. That's not why we're here to see who we prefer. I'll tell you what. I do have a prediction when it comes to the election. Right now, this isn't this. I'll let you know my prediction, right? But it's not because it's necessarily what I want. How about that? Right? Hold on 1 second. Okay. If you want my prediction for the election, I'll tell you, but it's not because I necessarily want it, right? But here's what it is. I do predict a Trump win. I do. I believe that Trump maintained his base voting pool, and he's able to maintain even the leaning right middle grounders, right? So he's got his base as well as the middle grounders. But I don't think the big thing is I don't think Biden has the Hillary vote. I don't think he's got the same vote clout that Hillary Clinton had. And even if he did, Trump was able to beat that. And I don't think he's beating that kind of clout. So I'll be honest, I do predict a Trump win. Whether or not that's best for the country, you know, that I don't know. But that is what I predict. That's not necessarily who I'm voting for, but you know, I'm not particularly happy at that prediction. But you know, that's, I mean, we do gotta look at reality here, and this has nothing to do with any of the fake scandals or anything like that. The fact is that, for instance, Trump's gonna come in here and he's gonna act like a child. We all know he's gonna do that, you know, but that's what he's gonna do. That is what he does, and he's successful in doing what he wants to do. You know, that's the problem with the last debate. That's the problem. Is Trump interrupted him 1,000 times. You know, he said some really sometimes nothing, but he did exactly what he came in to do. Whether or not it was looked good or not, whether or not it was ridiculous or not, he did do what he wanted to do. You know, so in that case, he was successful. Do you know what I mean? It's weird, and he got into Biden. You know, when Biden turned to him to shut him up, we all know that was out of character for Biden. It's a very out of character moment. So that is my prediction, for better or for worse. But that's not why we're here today. Yeah. When you see me looking right there, I'm looking at your comments. But luckily with this, I can watch, I'm actually watching my OBS. So I can see me, I can see your comments, I can see the screen, and I can change the total true predictions. So what else we got? How about we take a drink with Biden, every time Biden says, if Biden says shut up. If you guys can pull out any false facts, how well do you guys know your facts? If you got a false fact, well, I'm gonna take a drink of coffee for every false fact that we know is just kind of not true, you know. Which, I mean, we know there's a ton of them. One of the big false facts is that Biden says he's got a plan to save 100,000 deaths from now until December 31st, right? And that if that plan's not put through, I think Trump will be the cause of 100,000 deaths, and that's not actually true. That's funny numbers. That's funny numbers. And the fact is especially with Hunter Biden, it's going to be great. It's going to be great, AJ. Absolutely. If he says great, if he says tremendous. You know, if he like tremendous, everybody. If he says the word everybody, right? Because when he goes, oh, everyone tells me that this is what we need. Everybody. Okay. How about we drink every time Biden talks to the American people? I'm going to talk to you at home. How about that? Looks like we can unmute at the time right now because they're not really saying anything. But how about that? You know, whenever he says that's not true. Oh yeah, well we did. Oh, I might have to get some more water. If we go through this cup of coffee, we're gonna have to get more water. You know, go get yourself a drink of water. Let's see if we can get you what's the term okay, when you run out of water, it's dehydration, hyperhydration. Let's see if we can hyperhydrate you. Let's see if we can kill people with water drinking. You know, we're not gonna do no alcohol. I don't want anyone taking shots because it'll probably kill them. But if you want to go grab a drink of water, go drink some Kool-Aid. We'll make some predictions. Wait, I don't see a glass. There's no glass separator there, is it? There's no separator. I thought there was gonna be a separator here. Do you guys see it? I don't think I see a glass separator. By the way, on the lookout for bugs on people's hair because we missed that in the vice presidential debate. I don't want to have to miss it this time. So let's keep our eyes peeled. Let's keep our eyes peeled, people. I am Moana. No, I'm joking. She could be Moana's stunt double, couldn't she? Right? I mean, if I recall, the debate, before the even debate, he was debating her. Like, he already came out and said that she was working for the Democrats. I mean, Oh, good golly. How are we gonna how are we gonna survive this, guys? How are we gonna survive this? Worst case scenario, this is going to be all women of the devil. Wait. If they're the devil, how come they're not all wearing Prada?
Good evening from Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm Kristen Welker of NBC News, and I welcome you to the final 2020 presidential debate between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Tonight's debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. It is conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Commission's health security advisor. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, boos, or other interruptions, except right now, as we welcome to the stage former Vice President Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump.
Oh, they do have an audience. There is an audience. Biden comes out wearing a mask. Trump, no mask.
And I do want to say a very good evening to both of you. This debate will cover 6 major topics. At the beginning of each section, each candidate will have 2 minutes
which they
uninterrupted
will promptly
to
ignore
answer
because they don't want to answer any of those
questions. The
questions.
Debate Commission will then turn on
we want to
their
talk about
microphone
Trump's taxes
only when
and
it is
Hunter
their
Biden.
turn to
That's
answer.
it.
And the Commission will turn it off
That's all we're going to
when
talk
the 2
about.
minutes have expired. After that, both microphones will remain on.
We
But
got to
on behalf
mute
of the
because
voters, I'm going
because
to
otherwise
ask you to
Trump's
please
going to
speak one
interrupt.
at a time. The goal is for you to hear each other.
We got to give
the
Biden
American
a
people to
fighting
hear
chance.
Every word of what you both have to say. And so with that, if you're ready, let's start. And we will begin with the fight against the coronavirus. President Trump, the first question is for you. The country is heading into a dangerous new phase. More than 40,000 Americans are in the hospital tonight with COVID, including record numbers here in Tennessee. And since the two of you last shared a stage, 16,000 Americans have died from COVID.
Both of the nerds
So
have a
please be
different.
specific.
They have the same answer when it
How would you
comes
lead
to
the country
COVID.
during this
It
next
is the
stage
same
of the
answer.
coronavirus crisis? 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
So, as you know, 2.2 million people modeled out were expected to die. We closed up the greatest economy in the world in order to fight this horrible disease that came from China. It's a worldwide pandemic. It's all over the world. You see the spikes in Europe and many other places right now. If you notice, the mortality rate is down 85%. The excess mortality rate is way down and much lower than almost any other country. And we're fighting it, and we're fighting it hard. There is a spike. There was a spike in Florida, and it's now gone. There was a very big spike in Texas. It's now gone. There was a very big spike in Arizona. It's now gone. And there are some spikes and surges in other places. They will soon be gone. We have a vaccine that's coming. It's ready. It's going to be announced within weeks, and it's going to be delivered. We have Operation Warp Speed, which is the military is going to distribute the vaccine. I can tell you from personal experience that
because Trump just wants to go.
I was in the hospital.
Engage.
I had it, and I got better. And I will tell you that I had something that they gave me, a therapeutic, I guess they would call it. Some people could say it was a cure. But I was in for a short period of time, and I got better very fast, or I wouldn't be here tonight. And now they say I'm immune. Whether it's 4 months or a lifetime, nobody's been able to say that, but I'm immune. More and more people are getting better. We have a problem. It's a worldwide problem. This is a worldwide problem. But I've been congratulated by the heads of many countries on what we've been able to do. If you take a look at what we've done in terms of goggles and masks and gowns and everything
great.
else,
I want to
and
hear
in
these
particular
words.
ventilators. We're now making ventilators all over the world, thousands and thousands a month, distributing them all over the world. It will go away, and as I say, we're rounding the turn, we're rounding the corner. It's going away.
Okay, former Vice President Biden, to you.
Nothing.
How would you lead the country out of this crisis? You have 2 minutes.
I'm drinking anyway because that was ridiculous.
220,000 Americans dead.
220,000. I've got. 100,000. Watch,
Do
ready?
this.
100,000.
Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility.
100,000 more deaths.
Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America. We're in a situation where there are 1,000 deaths a day now, 1,000 deaths a day. And there are over 70,000 new cases per day.
Boom. No,
Compared to what's going on in Europe, as the New England Medical Journal said, they're starting from a very low rate. We're starting from a very high rate. The expectation is we'll have another 200,000 Americans dead.
Is he talking to me?
Between now and the
He's
end of the
staring
year.
into my soul. Is
We
he
just
talking to the
wore
American
these
people?
masks. The president's own advisors have told him we could save 100,000 lives.
100,000
We're in a
lives.
circumstance where the
Boom,
president
Drake.
thus far and still has no plan, no comprehensive plan.
It's not
What I
true,
would
by
do
the
is
way.
Make sure we have
It's not true, but
everyone encouraged to wear
we'll double
a
drink
mask
that
all
one.
the time. I would make sure we move in the direction of rapid testing, investing in rapid testing. I would make sure that we set up national standards as to how to open up
That's his-
schools,
that
and
is
open
his
up
solution.
businesses so they can be safe and give them the wherewithal, the financial
We can save
resources to be able
100,000
to do
lives
that.
if we just
We're
wore
in a
masks.
situation now.
It's not
where
true.
The New England Medical
Masks
Journal,
can
one of
help.
the most serious journals in the whole world.
He's talking about
said
if
for
there
the
was
first time ever
literally
that the way this
no-
president has
nothing in
responded to
place,
this crisis
we would
has
lose
been
100,000
absolutely
people.
tragic. And so, folks,
That's
I
what
will
he's
take
talking
care of
about.
this. I will end this. I will make sure we have a plan.
Oh, he's talking to
President
American
Trump,
people.
I'd
Here
like
we go.
to follow up with you and your comments. You talked about taking a therapeutic. I assume you're referencing Regeneron.
Mics
You
are
also
back
said
on.
A vaccine will be coming
Mics are on.
within
There's
weeks.
no muting.
Is that a
Here we go.
guarantee?
No, it's not a guarantee, but it will be by the end of the year. But I think it has a good chance. There are two companies, I think, within a matter of weeks, and it will be distributed very
Can
quickly.
you tell us which companies?
Johnson & Johnson is doing very well. Moderna is doing very well. Pfizer is doing very
Wait,
well.
that's
and
three.
We have numerous others.
What?
And then we also have
You
others
said
that we're
two.
working on very closely with other countries, in particular Europe.
Let me follow up with you, and because this
So it's
is
not
new
two.
information, you have said a vaccine is coming soon, within weeks now. Your own officials say it could take well into 2021 at the earliest for enough Americans to get vaccinated. And even then, they say the country will be wearing masks and distancing into 2022. Is your timeline realistic?
No, I think my timeline is going to be more accurate. I don't know that they're counting on the military the way I do, but we have our generals lined up, one in particular, that's the head of logistics. And this is a very easy distribution for him. He's ready to go as soon as we have the vaccine. And we expect to have 100 million vials. As soon as we have the vaccine, he's ready to go.
Vice President Biden, your reaction
He's
is
not
just
doing anything I
40%
predicted
of
him to
Americans
do.
say they would definitely agree to take a coronavirus vaccine if it was approved by the government. What steps would you take to give Americans confidence in a vaccine if it were approved?
Make sure it's totally transparent. Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way,
Make sure it's not bleach.
this is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same fellow who told you that, don't
Same
worry, we're
fellow?
going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter. A dark
McFly.
winter. And he has no clear plan, and there's no prospect that there's going
Your
to be a
plan
vaccine
is to put a
available for
mask
the majority
on.
of the American people before the middle of next year.
President Trump, your reaction, he says you have
Did-
no
did
plan.
he just say the 100,000?
At all. We're opening up our country. We've learned and studied and understand the disease, which we didn't at the beginning. When I closed and banned China from coming in heavily infected, and then ultimately Europe.
We're gonna add
was
China.
in January.
Look, every time he
Months
mentions
later, he
China.
was saying I was xenophobic. I did it too soon. Now he's saying, oh, I should.
I'm taking his predictions off because I can't keep track of this.
But he
We're
didn't
just
move
gonna,
quicker.
we're
He
just
was
gonna.
months behind me.
Hold on.
Many months behind me. And
we're-
frankly, he ran the H1N1
We're gonna remove these predictions 'cause
swine flu,
I can't keep
and it was
up with
a total
this.
disaster, far less lethal, but it was a total disaster.
There we go.
Had that had this kind of
It's a total
numbers,
disaster. Where were you guys on that one?
700,000 people would be dead right
Yes,
now.
says the guy
But it was
that's
a
plan is
far
to wear a
less
mask.
lethal disease. Look,
Which is the current
his
plan,
own
by the
person
way.
Who ran that for him, who, as you know, was his chief of staff, said it was catastrophic, it was horrible, we didn't know what we were doing. Now he comes up and he tells us how to do this. Also, everything that he said about the way every single move that he said we should make, that's what
making
we've
it.
done.
That's
We've
what we're
done all of
doing.
it. And
That's
he's
what
way
he's like.
behind
Yeah,
us.
it is what we're
Vice
doing.
President Biden, your response.
My response is he is xenophobic, but not because he shut down access from China. And he did it late after 40 countries had already done that. In addition to that, what he did, he made sure that we had 44 people that were in there in China trying to get to Wuhan to determine what exactly the source was. What did the president say in January? He said no. He said,
Trump didn't interrupt because he just doesn't know what the definition of xenophobic. That's what he's trying to think about right now.
Gratitude. We have to thank
What does he
him.
mean by
And then what
xenophobic?
happened was we started talking about using the Defense Act to make sure we go out and get whatever is needed out there to protect people. And again, I go back to this. He had nothing. He did virtually nothing. And then he gets out of the hospital and he talks about, don't worry, it's all going to be over soon. Come on. There's not another serious scientist in the world who thinks it's going to be over soon.
President Trump, your reaction?
Say over soon. I say we're learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like Joe does. He has the ability to lock himself up. I don't know. He's obviously made a lot of money someplace, but he has this thing about living in a basement. People can't do that. By the way, I, as the president,
The zingers are coming.
I'd love to put myself in the basement or in a beautiful room in the White House and go away for a year and a half until it disappears. I can't do that. And Kirsten, every meeting I had, and I'd meet a lot of families, including Gold Star families.
Everybody
families.
says, everybody says
Every meeting
what
I
we
had,
got
and
to
I
do.
had to meet
Every
them.
meeting.
I had to. It would be horrible to have canceled everything.
Even the one he had
I
with,
said,
Russia
this is
and the
dangerous.
Ukraine.
And you catch it. And,
Allegedly.
I learned a lot.
Allegedly.
I learned a lot. Great doctors, great hospitals. And now I recovered. 99.9 of young people recover. 99% of people recover. We have to recover. We can't.
I don't
close
know
up
if
our
that's
nation.
true,
We
but
have
I have
to
a
open
feeling
our
he's making
schools,
that up.
And we can't close up our nation, or you're not going to have a nation.
But
And of course,
I'll
the
tell you
CDC
what, if
has
you have a
said young
million
people
people,
can get sick with
99.9 is still
COVID-19 and can pass it.
10,000 people.
Vice President Biden, I want to talk
So in,
broadly about
in
strategy,
300
though. You have
What is
some-
it? We have 300
seconds,
million
please, and then I
people?
have a
300
question.
million
Number one,
people?
he says
1% of 300 million
we're learning to
people
live
is
with it.
3 million
People are
people.
learning to die with it. You folks home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit.
He's talking to the American people again.
Learning to live
doing
with
it
Come
again.
on. We're
Come on,
dying
man.
Because he has never said, you said it's dangerous. When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? Are we dangerous? You tell the people it's dangerous now? What should they do about the danger?
Who is he
And
talking
you
to
say,
now?
"I
Is he
take
still
no
talking to the people?
responsibility."
Let me talk about your two.
Excuse me, I take full
Oh,
responsibility.
hold on. Oh, we lost it.
It's
Okay,
not
here we
my
go.
fault that he came here. It's China's
China's
fault. And
fault.
you know what? It's not
Oh,
Joe's fault that he came here either.
It's China's fault.
It's China's fault. They kept it from going into the rest of China for the most part,
We-
but they
let's-
didn't keep it from coming
Let's
out to
just
the world,
replace
including
Trump
Europe and
with,
ourselves.
with an android.
President
We
Biden.
know what he's going to
The fact
say.
is that when we knew it was coming, when it hit, what happened? What did the president say? He said, don't worry, it's going to go away. Be gone by Easter. Don't worry, the warm weather. Don't worry. Maybe
We're
in
going
2
in
weeks. He
circles
said he was
now.
kidding
We're
when he
just
said that.
going
A
in
lot of people thought it was
circles.
serious. A whole range of things.
Yeah,
the president
3.5
said.
million
Even
people,
today,
thank you.
He thinks we are in control. We're about to lose 200,000 more people.
President Trump.
Wait,
Perhaps just to
200,000?
finish this.
200,000? Didn't he
I
just
was
say
getting up, but
100,000?
Just to finish this, when I close,
Did we
I
just
shouldn't have
double the
closed.
amount of people who are going to
and that went on
die?
for months. What Nancy Pelosi
I
said
swear
the same
we
thing.
did.
She was
I think we
dancing in the
did.
streets in Chinatown in San Francisco. But when I closed, he said,
Oh, that's true.
This is a terrible thing. You're xenophobic.
That's true.
I think
They
he
said
called
come to
me
Chinatown.
racist even.
Yeah, he said
And because I was
70,000 as
closing
well.
it to China. Now he says I should have closed it earlier.
70,000
It just-
is,
Joe,
if
it
nothing
doesn't
was
matter.
I
done,
didn't say
you would
either
have
of those things.
70,000
You
more
certainly
deaths from
did.
now
You
until
certainly did.
December. If
I
there was
talked about
nothing in
xenophobia
place.
in a different context. It wasn't about closing
Why
the
is
border
he
to
using the word
Chinese coming to the
xenophobic
United States.
automatically?
All right, I want to talk about both of your different strategies to
He
handling
thought
this.
I shouldn't have closed the border.
Well, let's-
That's obvious.
Is that, do you want to respond to
That's
that? quickly,
obvious.
Vice President
No.
Biden? Okay.
No.
Well, let's talk about your different strategies.
you
for
just
dealing with
shut
this. Mr.
up?
Vice President, you suggested you would support
Wait,
new
who am I saying
shutdowns
that
if
to? I don't
scientists
know.
recommended it. What do you say to Americans who are fearful that the cost of shutdowns, the impact on the economy, the higher rates of hunger, depression, domestic and substance abuse outweighs the risk of exposure to the virus?
What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. It's his ineptitude that caused the country to have to shut down in large part. Why businesses have gone under, why schools are closed, why so many people have lost their living, and why they're concerned. Those other concerns are real. That's
It does
why
look like
he
cotton
should have been,
candy.
instead of in a sand trap in a golf course, he should
But
have
it'd
been
be like
negotiating
chocolate
with
cotton
Nancy
candy.
Pelosi
Wait,
and
are
the
you
rest
talking
of the
about Trump's
Democrats and
hair?
Republicans about
'Cause
what
that's
to
kinda
do
cotton
about
candy,
the acts they were
whiskey-ish
passing
as well.
for billions of dollars to make sure people had the capacity.
But you haven't.
Do you
ruled
love
out
the
more
round
shutdowns.
numbers?
Well, no,
Maybe
I'm
we
not
should
shutting
drink
down the net, but
every
there
single
are-
time.
look, you need
Biden
standards. The
uses a
standard is if
nice,
you have
beautiful,
a reproduction
round
rate in
number.
a community that's above a certain level, everybody says, slow up.
100,000,
More social
a
distancing.
million, a billion,
Do not
a
open
trillion.
bars and do not open gymnasiums. Do not open until you get this under control, under more control. But when you do open, give the people the capacity to be able to open and have the capacity to do it safely. For example, schools. Schools, they need a lot of money to open. They need to deal with ventilation systems. They need to deal with smaller classes, more teachers, more
get another
pods.
cup of coffee
And
going.
he's refused to support that money, or at least up to now.
Let's talk about schools.
Well,
President Trump,
I
you,
think we have to respond, if I might.
please, and then I have a follow-up.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Look, all he does is talk about shutdowns, but forget about him. His Democrat governors.
Forget about
Cuomo in
him.
New York.
Forget about
You
it.
look at
Is
what's
he
going
from New
on
York
in
or what?
California. You look
Forget
at
about it.
Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Democrats all. They're shut down so tight, and they're dying. They're dying. And he supports all these people. All he talks about is shutdowns. No, we're not going to shut down, and we have to open our schools. And it's like, as an example, I have a young son. He also
He's going to get a
tested
lot of flack
positive.
for that.
By the time I spoke to
Oh,
the
the
doctor
son?
the second time, he was
The
fine. He
son's-
just went away.
What? Oh, it just-
Young people. I
It
guess
is.
it's
For
their
young
immune
people, it's
system.
perfectly
Let me follow
fine.
up with you, President Trump.
We know
You've
that.
demanded
We've
that
always
schools
known
open
that.
in person and insist they can do it safely. But just yesterday, Boston became the latest city to move its public school system entirely online after a coronavirus spike. What
Because
is your message
Boston's
to parents who
blue.
worry that sending their children to school
They're
will
very
endanger
blue,
not only
extremely
their kids,
blue.
but also
I'm
their
from
teachers and families?
Massachusetts.
I want to open the schools.
They're incredibly
The transmittal
blue.
rate to the teachers is
They're gonna
very
do
small.
the
I wanna
opposite of what
open the
Trump
schools.
does.
We have to open our country. We're not going to have a
They're
country.
gonna do the opposite.
You can't do this. We can't keep this country closed. This is a massive country with a massive economy. People are losing their jobs. They're committing suicide. There's depression, alcohol, drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. There's abuse, tremendous abuse. We have to open our country. You know, I've said it
You love that
often,
sound of the
cure
coffee. Oh,
cannot
I
be
didn't get that.
worse
What? I
than
didn't
the
get that
problem
message
itself.
clickers.
And
I'm
that's
gonna
what's
rewind
happening.
the
And he
stream
wants
later
to
and
close
find out
down.
what
He'll
you
close down the
retracted.
country if one person in our massive bureaucracy says
Gotta fix
we
my
should close
tie.
it down.
Vice President Biden, your
Simply
response.
not true. We ought to be
Oh,
able to
it's not
walk and
true.
chew gum at the
Just
same
simply.
time. We ought to be able to safely open, but would they need resources to open? You need to be able to, for example, if you're going to open a business, have social distancing within the business. You need to have, if you have a restaurant, you need to have plexiglass dividers so people cannot
Like
infect
what
one
you
another.
don't have
You need
right
to be in a
there
position
on
where you
the
can
stage.
take testing rapidly and know whether a person is in fact
Hey,
infected.
clickers.
You need to be
No
able
gang
to trace.
signs.
You need to be able to provide all the resources that are
joking.
needed to do this. And that is not inconsistent with saying that what we're going to make sure that we can open safely. And by the way, all you teachers out there, not
Oh,
that many of you are going to
He's
die.
talking to
so
the
don't
American
worry
people
about it.
again.
So don't worry about it.
Look at. I'm looking
President
at
Trump,
you.
let me
I'm
follow
looking
up with
right
you
back
quickly.
at
I
you.
will say this.
I
If
will
you
say-
go
he's
and
gotta
look at what's
respond.
happened to New York, it's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. And when you talk about plexiglass, these are restaurants that are dying. These are businesses with no money. Putting up plexiglass is unbelievably expensive, and it's not the answer. I mean, you're going to sit there in a cubicle wrapped around with plastic. These are businesses that are dying, Joe. You can't do that to people. You just can't. Take a look at New York and what's happened to my wonderful city for so many years. I loved it. It was
The
vibrant.
city that
It's
hates
dying.
you, by the
Everyone's
way.
leaving
They
New York.
hate you.
Take a look
Vice
at what
President
And
New
when I
York
say
has done
hate
in
you, I
terms
mean
of
it by
turning the
because they're
curve down
incredibly
in terms of
blue.
the number of people dying. And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does. Blue states and red states. They're all the United States. And look
Yeah,
at the
but
states
they
that
are
are
very
having such a
blue.
spike in the coronavirus. They're the red states. the states in the Midwest.
I'm not gonna. I'm
the
gonna
states in the
talk
upper
about the red
Midwest.
and
That's where
blue.
the spike is occurring significantly.
But it's the
they're
red.
all
I don't want to
Americans,
talk about red and blue,
all
but
Americans.
it's
and what
the
we have
red.
to do
It's
is
their
say,
fault.
Wear these masks, number one. Make sure
Blue
we
is
get the
Democrat
help that the
clickers,
businesses
red is
need that
Republican.
has Money's already
Blue is
been
Democrat.
passed to do that. It's
So
been
when
out
we
there
say
since
blue,
the beginning of the
we're talking
summer,
about
and
Biden.
nothing's
When we
happening.
said red, we're
President
talking about
New York
Trump.
has lost
You can
more
see by
than
their ties.
40,000 people.
See their ties?
11,000 people in nursing homes.
President Trump, what
when you
about-
say spike, take a look at what's happening.
I'm sorry to interrupt
Pennsylvania,
you and
where
not
they've
let
had
you
it closed.
speak, but I'm going to
Take a
interrupt
look
you
at
and not
what's
let you
happening
speak.
with your friend in Michigan, where her husband's the only one allowed to do anything. It's been like a
Yeah,
prison.
Democrats, you'll
Now,
also
it was
hear
just ruled
donkey.
unconstitutional.
Democrats
Take a
are
look
the
at North
donkeys
Carolina.
and Republicans
They're
are the
having
elephants.
spikes,
That's
and they've
also
been
their-
closed. And they're getting killed financially. We can't let that happen, Joe. You can't let that happen. We have to open up. And we understand the disease.
Yeah, but she is
we have
letting
to
him
protect our
do it.
seniors. We have to protect our elderly. We have to protect
I'll be
especially
honest.
our seniors with heart problems and diabetes problems.
Trump
and we
is
will
winning this
protect them. We have
already.
the best
I hate
testing
to
in the
say
world
it.
by far.
So
That's why
far
we
in
have
this
so many cases.
Let me
conversation-
follow up with you
Joe.
before we move on to our next section. President Trump, this week you called Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's best-known infectious disease expert, quote, a disaster. You described him and other medical experts as, quote, idiots. If you're not listening to them, who are you listening to as you fight this?
I'm listening to
The
all of you,
American
including
people.
Anthony. I get along
The
very well
American
with
people.
Anthony,
Say
but
the American people.
he did say,
What?
don't
He's good.
wear masks. He did say, as you know, this is not going to be a problem. I think he's a Democrat, but that's okay. He said this is not going to be a
I
problem.
think he's a Democrat, but
we are not going to have a problem
that's
at all.
okay
When
for
Joe
now.
says that, I said,
Kitty cat, you like-
Anthony Fauci said, and others, and many
You like
others,
the
and I'm
debate?
not
You gonna watch
knocking
this
him
with
a lot.
me?
Nobody knew.
You wanna
Look,
talk in the
nobody
mic?
knew what this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned a lot. But Anthony
China.
said, don't wear masks.
know
Now
it's
he
from
wants to wear
China,
masks.
Kitty cat?
Anthony also said, if you look back, exact words, here's his exact words. This is no problem. This is going to go away soon. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He happens to be a good person.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
My response is that think about what the president knew in January and didn't tell the American people.
Biden not touching
He was
you.
told this was a serious virus that spread in the air, and it was much worse than the flu. He went on record and said to one of your colleagues, recorded, that in fact he knew how dangerous it was, but he didn't want to tell us. He didn't want to tell us because he didn't want us to panic. He didn't want us. Americans don't panic. He
yes,
panicked.
they do.
But guess what? In the meantime, we find out
Unfortunately,
in the New York
Americans
Times the other
can't
day that, in
panic.
fact, his folks
don't remember
went
the
to
run
Wall
on the
Street and
banks
said
during
this
the
is a really
Depression?
dangerous thing, and a memo out of that meeting, not from his administration, but from some of the brokers, said sell short because we got to get moving.
Talk to the
It's a
American
dangerous
people now.
time.
Well, this is
I'm going to
one
give you
this is
30
one I
seconds to
haven't-
respond, and then we're
The
going
Wall
to
Street
move
one,
on.
I don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it.
I
Joe,
haven't.
you have raised a lot of money, tremendous amounts of money. And every time you raise money, deals are made, Joe. I could raise so much more money. As president and as somebody that knows most of those people, I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad position. And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street
is this
because
not
you're the one
classic
that takes
Trump?
the
I
money
gotta
from
fix
Wall
the
Street,
green
not
screen
me.
behind me here.
I could blow away your
I could-
records.
I
that-
could blow
like you
it
wouldn't
away.
believe. We don't
I
need
just-
money. We have plenty of money. In fact, we beat Hillary Clinton with a tiny fraction of the money that she was able
All
to
right,
get.
gentlemen, we're
But
going to
don't
move
tell me
on.
about Wall
Average
Street.
We're gonna-
contribution, $43.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is national security. And I do want to start with the security of our elections and some
I hope
breaking
you guys
news
are having
from
as
overnight.
much
Just
fun as
last
this.
night, top intelligence officials confirmed again that both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election. Both countries have obtained U.S. voter registration information, these officials say, and Iran sent intimidating messages to Florida voters. This question goes to you, Mr. Vice President. What would
Everything's
you
gonna be
do to
okay,
put an end to
clickers.
this threat? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
I
Everything's
made
gonna
it
be
clear,
okay.
and I ask everyone else to take the pledge.
So we
I
got
made
2
it clear
minutes.
that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price. They will pay a price. And it's been overwhelmingly clear this election, I won't even get into the last one, this election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved. They will pay a price if I'm elected. They're interfering with American sovereignty. That's what's going on right now. They're interfering with American sovereignty. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think the president said anything to Putin about it. I don't think he's stalking them a lot. I don't think he said a word. I don't know why.
Because every time he talks to Russia, you get all over his case,
if anything,
right?
to the Iranians. My guess is he'd probably be more outspoken with regard to the Iranians. But the point is this, folks. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens. And then you find out that everything that's going on here about Russia is wanting to make sure that I do not get elected the next president of the United States because they know I know them and they know me. I don't understand why this president is unwilling to take.
I mean, I agree, Clickers. Exactly. That is a statement I would make. That is a statement I would make.
He's engaged in activities that are trying to destabilize all of NATO. I don't know why he doesn't do it, but it's worth asking the question. Why isn't that being done? Any country that interferes with us
do you think Trump's
going
to come back up and say, you know what?
Because they're affecting our sovereignty.
Interference is fine.
President
He's not
Trump,
going to say that.
same question to you. Let me ask the question. You're going to have 2 minutes to respond for 2 elections
He just
in a row now.
wants
There
to
has been
interrupt
substantial
before he
interference
actually
from foreign
responds.
adversaries. What would you do in
Can
your
I
next
interrupt
term
first?
to put an end to this? 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Well, let me respond to the first part. As Joe
I have to
answered.
interject
Joe got
first
$3.5 million from Russia, and it came through Putin because he was very friendly with the former mayor of Moscow, and it was the mayor of Moscow's wife.
And he can't respond to this?
You got $3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million, and you know someday you're going to have to explain why did you get 3.5. I never got any money from Russia. I don't get money from Russia. Now about your thing last night, I knew all about that, and through John Ratcliffe, who is fantastic, DNI, he said the one thing that's
AJ,
common to both of them, they both want you to lose. Because there has been nobody tougher to Russia. Between the sanctions, nobody tougher than me on Russia. Between the sanctions, between all of what I've done with NATO, I've got the NATO countries to put up an extra $130 billion, going to $420 billion a year. That's to guard against Russia. I sold, while he was selling pillows and sheets, I sold tank busters to Ukraine. There has been nobody tougher on Russia than Donald Trump. And I'll tell you, they were so bad. They took over the submarine port. You remember that very well. During your term, during you and Barack Obama, they took over a big part of what should have been Ukraine. You handed it to them, but you were getting a lot of money from Russia. They were paying you a lot of money, and they probably still are. But now, with what came out
when
today,
Trump talks, it's
even
very
worse.
much repetition.
All of the emails, the horrible emails of the kind of money that you were raking in, you and your family. And Joe, you were vice president when some of this was happening, and it should have never happened. And I think you owe an explanation to the American people. Why is it? Somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family, but what he said was damning. And regardless of me, I think you have to clean it up and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now.
I mean,
Vice President Biden, you may respond.
Oh my goodness!
And then I do want to follow up.
Is Trump
on the
a lot calmer
situation.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. I have not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever. Number one.
Except for the United States?
This is a president.
From any country whatsoever?
All of my tax returns.
Any country?
22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? The foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot. And your hotels and all your businesses all around the country, all around the world. And China's building a new road to a new a golf course you have overseas. So what's going on here? Why don't release your tax return or stop talking about corruption?
President Trump, your response.
First of all, I called my accountants under audit. I'm going to release them as soon as we can. I want to do it, and it'll show how successful, how great this company is. But much more importantly than that, people were saying $750.
I just want to get a mouse and point
I asked
at
them
him.
a week ago. I said, what did I pay? They said, sir,
Mouse,
you
point at
prepaid
him.
tens of millions of dollars. I
Mouse,
prepaid
point
my
it at
tax.
him.
Tens over the last number of years.
Like that?
Tens of millions of dollars I prepaid because at some point they think it's an estimate. They think I may have to pay tax. So I already prepaid it. Nobody told me that.
Did your accountant
Nobody
tell you
told
when
you
you could
that.
release
Excuse
them?
me. And it wasn't written whenever they write this. They keep
Excuse
talking
me.
about $750.
I know you have a good
which
question,
I think
but
is
I'm
a
gonna
filing
ignore
fee.
it.
But let me just
I'm
tell you,
just gonna
I
ignore it.
prepaid millions and millions of dollars in taxes.
Right.
Number one. Number two, I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe, and your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the
Is that
big
a
man.
Proud Boy sign?
No,
No,
maybe
he
not.
did-
You're the
they're
big
gonna
man, I
call
think.
it. They're gonna say
your
Proud
son said
Boy
we have to give
sign. They're
10%
gonna
to the
say
big
it.
man.
They're gonna
Joe,
do
what's
it.
that all about? It's terrible.
All right, gentlemen, I want to ask you both some questions
I have to
about all of this,
respond to
but
that.
I'm going to let you both respond very quickly. You just said you spoke to your accountant
Yes.
about potentially releasing your taxes. Did he tell you when you can release them? Do you
As
have
soon
a
as the audit is
deadline for
finished.
when you're going to release them
I
to the
get
American
treated
people?
worse than the Tea Party got treated. Because
you
I have a
don't
lot
have
of
a time.
people in there, deep down in the IRS, they treat me horribly. We made a deal, it was all settled until I decide to run for president. I get treated very badly by the IRS, very unfairly. But we had a deal all done. As soon as we're completed with the deal, I want to release it. But I have paid millions and millions of dollars, and it's worse than paying. I paid in advance. It's called prepaying your taxes. I paid in advance.
I want to ask you both about questions regarding your potential foreign entanglements and questions that have been raised to give you both a chance
Some
to
point
talk
about
about this more broadly. Respond very quickly, and then I'll get to my question.
Why did he's been saying this for 4 years?
4 years.
Show us. Just show us. Stop playing around. You've been saying for 4 years you're going to release your taxes. Nobody knows it, Mr. President. What they do know is you're not paying your taxes, or you're paying taxes that are so low. When last time he said what he paid, he said, I only pay that little because I'm smart. I know how to game the system.
Right.
Come on. Come on, folks.
Come on, man.
President Trump, and
Come
then I
on,
want to get to two
man.
questions to both of you on this.
But I
I
mean,
was
wouldn't
put
you?
through a phony witch hunt for 3 years. It started before I even got elected. They spied on my campaign. No president should ever have to go through what I went through. Let me just say this. Mueller and 18 angry Democrats.
She didn't interrupt you.
And
She
FBI
did-
agents all over the place.
You
spent
shot her
$48
down
million.
before she even interrupted
They went
you.
through
She didn't
everything
say
I
anything.
had, including my tax returns, and they found absolutely no collusion and nothing wrong. 48 million. I guarantee you, if I spent 1 million on you, Joe, I could
say
find
anything.
plenty wrong. Because
All
the
right.
kind of things that you've done and the kind of monies that your family has taken, I mean, your brother made money in Iraq,
Let me-
True,
millions
AJ.
of dollars.
Millions
your
of
other
dollars.
brother
3
made a
million,
fortune.
3.5
And it's all
in
through
Russia.
you, Joe. And
Yeah,
they say
we
you
got
get some
this.
of it. And you do live very well. You have houses all over the place. You live very well.
All right, gentlemen, let me just ask
Oh,
some questions about all of this broadly. Vice President Biden, there have been
I-
questions
I-
about
at
the work
least
your son
Biden
has
doesn't
done
look
in
like a
China
ghost
and
this
for
time.
Ukrainian
He
energy
looked like a
company when
ghost
you were
in the
vice
first
president.
one.
In
Anyway.
retrospect,
Sorry.
was anything about those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal. With regard to Ukraine,
But they were inappropriate.
we had this whole question about
they weren't
whether or not,
unethical.
because he was on the board. I later learned of a Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my
Yeah,
job.
yeah, you can predict.
I carried out U.S.
I
policy.
predict I'm gonna
Not
be
one
interrupted.
single solitary thing was out of line. Not a single thing, number one. Number two, the guy who got
They
in trouble
probably
in
are.
Ukraine
This
was
is-
this guy
this is a
trying
fake
to bribe
debate.
the Ukrainian government to say something negative about me, which they would not do and did not do because it never, ever, ever happened. My son has not made money in terms of this thing about what
Oh,
are you
we gotta-
talking
we
about?
gotta
China.
define it. We
I
gotta
have not
define
had
it.
The only guy who made money from China
made
is this
money,
guy.
but-
He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
Never
President
to
Trump,
deal with
let me
China.
let me
By the
ask
way,
my question to you.
But
and
could
then
I just
you'll-
one thing?
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time. Was sadly
They're gonna
no
say
longer
she
in
was weak.
the
They're
military
gonna say
service. I
she
won't
was
get into
weak
that.
because
And he didn't
they-
have a
she's
job.
letting
As soon
them
as he
do
became
what they
vice
want.
president,
She
Burisma,
is.
not the best reputation in the world. I
She's
hear they
not
paid him $183,000
dropping the hammer at all.
a month. Listen to this. 183, and they gave him a $3
she's not
million
interrupting
upfront
you.
payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the Vice President
That's
respond to that quickly,
100%
and then I need to get to a
dishonest.
question to you. Very
No
quickly, Mr.
basis
Vice
for
President.
that. Everybody investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine.
Okay, President Trump, this is for you. Since you took office, you've never divested from your business. You've personally promoted your properties abroad. A report this week, which was referenced, does indicate that your company has a bank account in China. So how can voters know that you don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts, and they're all listed, and they're all over the place. I mean, I was a businessman doing business. The bank account you're referring to, which is, everybody knows about it, it's listed.
Everybody,
The bank
is that
account was
everybody?
in 2013. That's what it was. It was opened in
Apparently,
it was closed in
I'm not everybody, by
2015,
the way,
I believe.
'cause I didn't
and then
know
I
that.
decided, because I was going to do,
Did
I
you
was
know
thinking about
that?
doing a deal in China like millions of other people. I was thinking about it, and I decided I'm not going to do it. Didn't like it. I decided not to do it. Had an account open, and I closed it.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him,
She just
where
said
he's vice
okay.
president
She
and he does
agreed
business,
with you.
I then decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed
What?
it before I even ran for
Nobody's
president.
interrupting
let
you.
alone became president.
Nobody.
Big difference. He is the vice president of the United States, and his son, his brother, and his other brother are
You're
getting
talking over
rich.
people who
They're
aren't
like a
talking.
vacuum cleaner. They're sucking
Okay,
up money every
President Trump,
place he
thank you. We
goes.
do need
not
to move
true.
on. I do want to ask you, Vice President Biden, about China. Let's talk about China more broadly. There have, of course, President Trump has said that they should pay for not being fully transparent in regards
Is this
to
another
coronavirus.
question? Do we have
If you were
2-minute
president,
mute?
would
We
you
have a
make
2-minute
China
mute.
pay? And please be
Yes.
specific.
This
What
is
would
a
that look
2-minute
like?
mute.
What I'd
Trump
make
can't
China
talk.
do is play by the international rules, not like he has done. He has caused the deficit of China to go up, not down, with China, up, not down. We are making sure that in order to do business in China, you have to give all your intellectual property. You have to have a partner in China. It's 51%. We would not do that at all, number one. Number two, we're in a situation where China would have to play by the rules internationally as well. When I met with Xi, when I was still vice president, he said we're setting up air identification zones in the South China Sea. You can't fly through them. I said we're going to fly through them. We just flew B-52, B-1 bombers through it. We're not going to pay attention. They have to play by the rules. And what's he do? He embraces guys like the thugs like in North Korea and the Chinese president and Putin and others, and he pokes his finger in the eye of all of our friends, all of our allies. We make up we're 25%, 25% of the world's economy.
Trump's going to talk about how we were getting a raw deal. This is the prediction.
With us saying to China,
Because
these are the rules.
this
You
is
play
his
by
talking
them or you're
point.
going to
We were
pay the
getting a
price
raw
for not
deal.
paying by
We're
them.
just-
Economically. That's the way
They
I
weren't
would run
really
it,
our
and that's what we
friends.
did.
I don't
in
know what he's
upholding
gonna
steel
do.
tariffs and a range of other things when we were president and vice president.
All right, let's talk about North Korea.
Excuse me, no, I have to
Yes.
respond to that.
Okay.
She's going to
Very
let
quickly,
you.
and then we're gonna
You
move
were
on to
next.
North
$1.5 billion
You were
from
next.
China to
Not
manage after
true.
spending 10 minutes in office and being in Air Force Two.
Wait,
Number
how is
one.
Biden
Number
not
two,
muted?
There's a very strong email
wrong with this
talking
green screen?
about
Come on.
your family wanting to make $10 million a year for introductions.
President Trump, on China policy, though, what
No, but wait a
specifically are
minute.
you going to do? What specifically are
Oh,
you going
oh,
to
she's
do
getting-
to make
she's
China
getting-
pay? You've said you're going
First
to
of
make
all,
them pay.
China is paying. They're paying billions and billions of dollars. I just gave
You've
$28 billion.
Billions
Sanctions?
and
I
billions.
just gave $28 billion to our farmers. because
Taxpayers'
China,
money.
It's what?
Taxpayers' money.
It's all
No,
taxpayer
you don't know
money.
who the taxpayer is. It's called China. China paid
true.
$28 billion,
Taxpayer
and you
is
know what they
China.
did to pay it, Joe? They devalued their currency, and they also paid up. And you know who got the money? Our farmers, our great farmers, because they were targeted. You never charged them anything.
All money
Also,
is taxpayer
I charged
money
them 25% on
government.
dumped steel because they were killing our steel industry. We were not going to have a steel industry.
Okay.
And now we have a steel
Okay,
industry.
Vice President Biden, your response, please.
Our response is, look, this isn't about.
Responses.
There's a reason why
he's talking to the American people.
bringing up
He's
all
not
this
centered.
malarkey.
Is his camera
There's a
not
reason for it.
centered?
He
Is
doesn't
that
want to talk
me
about
or is that
the substantive issues? It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family. And your family's
That might
hurting
be me.
badly.
Hold on.
If you're making less than, if you're a middle-class family, you're getting hurt badly right now. You're sitting at the kitchen table this morning deciding, well, we can't get new tires, they're bald because we have to wait another month
Okay,
or
let's-
so.
let's-
Or are we
let's
going to be
center-
able to
here,
pay the
but- there
mortgage?
we go,
Who's going to
here
tell
we
her
go,
she can't
there
go
we
back
go.
to community
Now
college?
he's
They're
centered.
the decisions
That was
you're
annoying
making.
me.
In the middle-class families like I grew up in Scranton and Claymont.
There we go.
They're in trouble. We should be talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
I want
That is a
to talk
typical
about
statement.
North Korea.
Excuse me,
I
just
do
for
want
1
to turn
second,
to
please.
10 seconds, Mr. President.
That's
10
a
seconds.
typical political
10
statement.
seconds.
Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk about
I'm
North
not a typical
Korea now.
politician.
Okay,
That's why I
You
got
only
elected.
gave him 8.
Come on,
Let's talk about-
get off the subject of China. Let's talk sitting around the table.
All right.
Come on, Joe, you can do better.
We're going to talk about North Korea now. President Trump, you've met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un 3 times. You've talked about your beautiful letters with him. You've touted the fact that there hasn't been a war or a
Beautiful
long-range
letters.
missile test. And yet
Kim
North
Jong-un,
Korea recently rolled out its
Bill,
biggest ever intercontinental
hair
ballistic
flows
missile and
like the
continues to
river of
develop
the
its
Ganges.
nuclear arsenal. Do you see that
Your
as a betrayal
eyes
of the relationship you
are
forged?
as
Just 30
blue
seconds here because
as
we
the
need to get on
birds
to the
of
next
prey.
one.
So
in
when I met with
Madagascar.
Barack Obama, we sat in the White House right at the beginning, had a great conversation. It was supposed to be 15 minutes, and it was well over an hour. He said the biggest problem we have with North Korea. He indicated we will be in a war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a nuclear war, and he does have plenty of nuclear capability. In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war. And you know, about 2
Make
months
love,
ago,
not
he broke
war.
into
Is that what
a
he's
certain
doing?
area. They said, "Oh, there's going to
Hey,
be trouble." I said,
Calandra.
"No, they're not, because he's not going to do that." And I was right. Look, instead of being in a war where millions of people
I
sold,
promise
is
you,
25
Calandra,
miles
this
away.
this
Millions
is
and
just as
millions,
good. This is
32
the
million
presidential
people
debate,
sold.
Calandra.
Millions
You're
of
going to get
people would be
Biden
dead
too.
right now.
And we're
President
making
Trump
fun
has
of
30
both
seconds.
people.
Thank you. Vice
That's 30
President Biden,
seconds.
to you, North Korea conducted 4 nuclear tests under the Obama administration. Why do you think you would be able to rein in this persistent threat?
Because I make it clear, which we were making clear to China, they had to be part of the deal, because here's the
We're making fun of them both, Calandra.
Spokesperson of the administration, when I went
Both
to
of
China,
them.
and they said, "Why are you moving your missile defense up so close? Why are you moving more forces here? Why are you continuing to do?"
I'll tell you, Trump is going. I just
military
need to
maneuvers with South
interrupt
Korea. I said, because
everybody.
North Korea is a problem, and we're
Dang
going to
that
continue
mute
to do
button.
it so we can control them. We're going to make sure we can control them and make sure they cannot hurt us. And so if you want to do something about it, step up and help. If not, it's going to continue. What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy, who's a thug, and he
You
talks
gotta
about
find
how
it,
we're better
Calandra.
off. And they
Okay.
have much more capable missiles, able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President Biden. You've said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions. Are there any conditions under which you would meet with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get the Korean Peninsula should be nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's move on to American families.
Kristen,
That's
they
a-
tried
Very
to
quickly,
meet with
10
Do
him.
what I
seconds,
say,
They
President.
not
tried to
what
meet
I
with
do.
him. He wouldn't do it. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like him. He wouldn't do it.
Okay, I
know
gotta
for
give him a
fact they
chance to
tried.
respond to that
He
before we
wouldn't
move
do
on.
it.
You
And
know,
that's
I-
okay. You know what? North Korea.
Yeah,
we're not
Vader
in a
killed
war.
him.
We have
That's
a good
why I
relationship.
run
You know,
away from
people don't understand.
Spawn.
Having a good
Calandra.
relationship
President Trump,
with
we have to
leaders
move
of other
on, 'cause
countries
we have
is
a lot
a
of
good thing.
We have a lot of questions to get
Yes,
to.
not
That's
Your
okay.
like
response.
saying we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded
Oh!
Europe. The rest of Europe. Come
We're
on.
bringing Hitler to
The
the list.
reason
Come
he would
on.
not meet with
Come on,
President
man.
Obama is because President
Come
Obama
on,
said,
man.
we're going to talk about denuclearization. We're not going to legitimize you, and we're going to continue to put stronger and stronger sanctions on you.
Wait, does that
That's
mean
why he
Biden
wouldn't
lose
meet with us.
for bringing Hitler
All right,
into
and
the
it
topic?
didn't happen.
Isn't that an
Let's move on
automatic
and talk
lose
about
He
according
left
American
to
me a
families.
mess, Kristen.
President Trump,
Arguments?
okay, we do
They
need to move
left
on.
me a
I just-
mess. North Korea was a mess.
Oh,
and in
good
fact,
God.
if
So
you
that
remember
we
the
can get
first
to
2
all
What
or
of
are,
3
is
months,
this
questions
Trump?
tonight.
Is
it
this
was
the
a very
2016
dangerous
election?
period in my first 3
Did you
months
just-
before we sort
did
of
you
worked
just-
things out a little bit. There was a very they left us
Yeah, Hitler
a
in the
mess,
room.
and Obama would be, I think, the first to say it was the single biggest problem he thought that our country.
Okay, let's move on to American families and the economy. One of the issues that's most important to
Not
them
saying
is
Donald
healthcare,
Trump
as you both
is
know.
Hitler.
Today there was a key vote
But I'm
on a
not
new
saying
Supreme
that
Court
he's
Justice
not.
Amy Coney Barrett, and healthcare is at the center of her confirmation fight. Over 20
we're
million
talking
Americans
about-
get their health insurance through the Affordable Care
Trump
Act.
is gonna
It's headed to the
ask.
Supreme Court, And
if he's
your
going to pack
administration,
the
Mr.
courts.
President, is
And
advocating
Biden
for
is
the court
not
to
going to
overturn it.
answer.
If the Supreme Court does overturn that law, those 20 million Americans
Calandra,
lose
make
their
fun
health
of
insurance almost
anybody
overnight.
you
So
want.
what would you do
I
if those people
am
have
an
their
equal
health insurance taken
opportunity
away?
make
You have
fun
2
of her.
minutes
Sure.
uninterrupted.
First
We're
of all, I've
making
already
fun
done
of
something
everybody.
that nobody thought was possible.
Everybody,
Through
Calandra.
the
Even
legislature,
the
I
moderator.
terminated the individual mandate.
Yes.
That is the worst
No
part
judgment
of
here,
Obamacare,
Calandra.
as we call it.
I live in a
the
swing
individual
state.
mandate where you have to pay a fortune for the
I'm
privilege
totally
of not
okay
having to pay
with
for
you
bad
being
health
blue.
insurance.
I'm
I
okay with you
terminated it.
being
It's
red.
gone. Now it's in court
You
because
know,
Obamacare
I'm
is
fine
no
with
good.
that. We're
but
making
then
fun
I
of
made a
both of them.
decision: run it as well as you can to my people, great people.
Talk
Run
about
it as
packing the
well as you
courts.
can. I
And
could have gone
Biden,
the other route.
just
and
don't
made
answer
everybody
it.
very unhappy. They ran it. Premiums are down. Everything's down. Here's
ridiculous.
the
They're
problem.
both
No matter how
ridiculous.
well you run it, it's no good. What we'd like to do is terminate it. We have the individual mandate done. I don't know that it's going to work. If we don't win, we will have to run
he's
it,
doing
and
this
we'll
again.
have Obamacare, but it'll be
What
better
is
run.
that?
But it no longer is Obamacare, because without the individual mandate,
You know what that
it's
is?
much different. Pre-existing
him telling a
conditions
lie?
will always stay. What I would like to do is a
and
much better
preempting
health care, much
people
better,
correcting him.
will always protect people with pre-existing.
Yeah, we'll laugh at the
So I'd
cameraman,
like to
too.
terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new, beautiful health
Oh,
care.
he did it
The
again!
Democrats will do it because there'll be tremendous pressure on them, and we might even have the
I don't
House
think
by
he's
that
capable
time.
of
And
not
I think
doing
we're
the
going to win
okay
the
side.
House. Okay, you'll see, but I think we're going to win the House. But come up with a better health care, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one thing very important, we have 180 million people out there that have great private health care, far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden
Far
is going
more.
to terminate
Everybody
all of
knows
those
that.
policies. These are people that love their health care, people that have been successful, middle-income people, been
Yeah,
successful.
everybody
they have
loves paying
180
thousands and thousands
million
of
plans,
dollars
180 million
for
people,
getting like
families,
a pinprick.
under what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine. He won't even have a choice. They want to terminate
Look at
180 million
Biden
plans.
smiling.
We have done an incredible job on health care, and we're going to do even better.
Biden smiles when he knows
Vice
that the
President
statement is
Biden,
ridiculous.
yes, this is for
He
you.
does.
Your health care plan calls for building on Obamacare. So my question
It
is,
is.
what is your
It
plan
is.
if the law
So
is ruled
dusty.
unconstitutional
We
by
were
the
talking
Supreme
about
Court?
how much
You have
people's
2
hair
minutes
look like
uninterrupted.
cotton candy,
What I'm going
Calandra.
to do is pass Obamacare with a
Her,
public
her
option.
hair, his hair,
Become Biden
even
care.
Biden's
Public
hair
option
kind of looks
is
like
an
cotton
option
candy.
that says that if you, in fact, do not have the wherewithal to be, if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically are enrolled, providing competition for insurance companies. That's what's going to happen. Secondly, we're going to make sure we reduce the premiums and reduce drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now by allowing the Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the insurance companies. Thirdly, the idea that I want to eliminate private insurance, the reason why I had such a fight with 20 candidates for the nomination was I support private insurance. That's why I didn't. Not one single person with private insurance would lose their insurance under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare. They did not lose their insurance.
We've been told
unless they
that
chose
before
they
there,
wanted to go
Joe.
to something else. Lastly, we're going to make sure we're in a situation that we actually protect pre-existing. There's no way he can protect pre-existing conditions. None. Zero. You can't do it in the ether. He's been talking about this for
Yeah,
a long
but
time.
it's better than-
There is no,
than-
he's never come up with a plan. I
than
guess we're gonna
finding
get
the closest
pre-existing
small
condition
animal to
plan
put
the
on
same
your
time we
head,
get
which
the
is what Trump
infrastructure
is
plan
doing.
That would be waiting since 17, 18, 19, and 20. The fact, I still have a few more minutes. I know you're getting anxious. The fact is that he's already cost the American people because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and the economic spillover.
Just went to a
10
desert.
million people have lost their private insurance. And he wants to take away 22 million more people
I
who
mean,
have it
can
under
we
Obamacare,
just drop
and over
them both off in a
110
desert,
million
Calandra?
people with
Is
pre-existing
that-
conditions. All the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you, Vice President Biden. It relates to something that President Trump said. He's accusing
Trump's
of
like,
one
but
of
I got to
socialized
respond to that.
medicine.
I
What
got to
do you say
respond to that.
people
I'm so-
who have
he is
concerns that their
dying.
healthcare
He is
plan, which
dying.
includes
Look
a
at his
government
face.
insurance option,
Look at
takes
his
the
face.
country
He is
one
dying.
step
Look at him.
closer
He's like,
to a healthcare system
what you
run
talking about,
entirely by the
Willis?
government?
Look at
Say
him.
it's ridiculous. It's like saying that, you know,
He is.
we're
He's
the
doing
idea
so
that
hard
the
not
fact
to
that there's a
interrupt.
public
He's
option
doing
that people
so
can
hard.
choose. that makes it a socialist plan? Look, the difference between the president, I think health care is not a privilege, it's a right. Everyone should have the right to have affordable health care. And I am very proud of my plan. It's gotten endorsed by all the major labor unions, as well as a whole range of other people who, in fact, are concerned in the medical field. This is something that's going to save people's lives, and this is going to give some people an opportunity to have health care for their children. How many of you home are worried and rolling around
He's
in bed
talking
and
to us.
wondering what in God's name you're going to do if you get sick?
Yes, I'm out of
Because
coffee.
you've lost your home insurance, your health insurance, your company's gone under. We have to provide health insurance for people at an affordable rate. That's what I do.
President Trump,
Excuse me, he was
your
there
response.
for 47 years. He
Excuse
didn't
me.
do it.
I know you're going to let me
He was now
talk,
there as
but I'm
vice
going to interrupt
president for 8
anyway.
years, and it's not like it
Excuse
was
me.
25 years ago. It was
Watch
3
for this.
3/4.
Watch
It was
for this
just
movement.
a little while ago, right?
Ready?
Less than 4 years ago.
Ready? Watch for
he
this
didn't do
movement.
anything. He didn't do it. He wants socialized medicine, and it's not that he wants it. His vice president, I mean, she is more liberal than Bernie Sanders and wants it even more. Bernie Sanders wants it. The Democrats want it. You're going to have socialized medicine, just like you went with fracking. We're not going to have fracking. We're going to stop fracking. We're going to stop fracking. Then he goes to Pennsylvania
Trump-
after he gets a
Trump,
nomination.
that's a
where he got very lucky
terrible
to get it.
impression.
And he goes to Pennsylvania.
Terrible impression.
And he says, oh, we're
It's
going to have
a-
fracking. And you never asked that question. And by the way, so far, I respect very much the way you're handling this, I have to say.
By the way,
But somebody should ask the question.
You can ask
He goes for a year. There will be
We
no
have
fracking. There
we
will
do
be
have
no
a number of.
petroleum.
We have
Hey,
a
he
number
did
of
it!
topics
See
to
it! He
get
did
to.
it!
That's a
And
big
we're-
question.
Do it
we're
again,
gonna get to-
Trump.
We're going to get to
It's the
another
same thing with
topic.
socialized
I have to
medicine.
respond.
Vice President, your response, please.
My response is people
Is this
deserve
the
to have
kiss the
affordable
ring?
health
Is
care,
that what he's
period.
doing?
Period,
The kiss the
period,
ring
period.
hand? Can we
And
call
the
it
Biden
that?
care proposal will, in fact, provide for that affordable health care, lower premiums. What we're going to do is going to cost some money. It's going to cost over $750 billion over 10 years to do it. And they're going to have lower premiums. You can buy into the better plans, the cheaper plans, lower your premiums.
Over here,
deal with
Joe.
un-
Here,
unexpected
Mr. Vice
billing,
President.
and
I
have
don't
your
wanna call him
drug
Joe.
prices
Vice
drop
President.
significantly.
Vice President
He keeps
Biden.
talking about it. He hasn't
I
done
apologize
a
for
thing
calling him
for
Joe. That
anybody
was a
on
little
health care.
disrespectful.
Not a thing.
I would
When
say
he
Very
President
quickly, then I
Trump
want to
and
talk
Vice
about
When he
what's
says
happening
public
on Capitol
option,
Hill.
he's talking about socialized medicine and when he and healthcare. When he talks about a public option, he's talking about destroying your Medicare, totally destroying, and destroying your Social Security. And this whole country will come down. You know, Bernie Sanders
Wrong.
tried it in his state.
Wrong.
He tried it in
Isn't
his
that-
state.
isn't that
His
the
governor
Trump
was
quote?
a very liberal
Wrong.
governor. They want to make it work.
Okay,
It
let's
was
let Vice President
impossible
Biden
to work.
respond.
It doesn't
Vice
work.
President
He's
Biden,
a very
your response.
confused guy. He thinks he's running
They're
against somebody
mods,
else. He's running
Calandra.
against
They're
Joe
mods.
Biden.
If you say
I
something
beat
bad,
all
they'll
those
mute
other
ya.
people because I disagreed with them. Joe
That's-
Biden
that's-
is running against. And the idea that we're in a situation that they're going to destroy Medicare, this is the guy that the actuary at Medicare said, if in fact, at Social Security, if in fact he continues to withhold his plan to withhold the tax on Social Security, Social Security will be bankrupt in
No, if you say something
2023,
like swear
with no
or anything.
way to make up for it.
Just
this
when
is the guy
people
who's
swear,
tried to cut
that's
Medicare.
what it's for.
So no, I mean, the idea that Donald Trump is lecturing me on Social Security and Medicare, come on.
He
Come
tried
on,
to get
man.
rid- He
Come
tried
on,
to hurt
man.
Social Security
Go to
years
another
ago.
The
Years
come on
ago.
is gotta
Go back
be
and look
the
at the
quote.
records. He tried to hurt
Come on.
Social
How many
Security
times
years ago.
did he
All
say,
right, let's
come
move on.
on?
I'm
This is
going to
the
move
guy
on.
that
Let
when
me,
they
Mr.
announced
President, I have to
last
move
week,
on to the next question.
They said
or
the
else
stock
we're not
market
gonna have
will
time to
boom
talk about
if
it.
I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay,
I like
let's
the
move on
way
to
you're
the
doing
next
stuff,
question.
but
Very
I don't like the
quickly.
way you're doing stuff.
The idea that the
That's
stock
that's
market is
Trump.
booming is his only measure of what's happening. Where
I
I
gotta
come from in
respond to that.
Scranton and Claymont, the people don't
Wait,
live off of the
wait
stock
for it,
market.
wait for it.
Just in the last three
gotta
three
respond to
years
that.
during this crisis, the billionaires in this country made, according to the Wall Street, $700 billion more dollars.
700
billion more dollars.
A nice round
Because
number.
that's his only measure. What happens to the ordinary people out there? What happens to them?
Let's talk about what's happening on Capitol Hill. We're going to
Kristen,
move on, gentlemen.
401ks are through the roof.
We're gonna
People's
move on.
stock are through the roof.
All
And
right.
he doesn't come from Scranton. That's like one of he lived there for a short period of
gonna-
time before
okay,
he even knew
we're
it.
gonna move on to
and
the
he
next
left.
question.
And the people of Pennsylvania
Let me
will
move
show
on
you
to my
that.
next question,
They
gentlemen.
understand.
As of tonight, more than 12 million people are out of work. And as of tonight, 8 million more Americans have fallen into poverty, and more families are going hungry every day. Those hit hardest are women and people of color. They see Washington fighting over a relief bill. Mr. President, why haven't you been able to get them the help they need? 30 seconds here.
Well,
Because Nancy
you just said
Pelosi
it,
doesn't
because they're
want to
women and
approve it. I do.
You're the president.
Oh, wait, no, I
I
mean,
do, but I still have to get. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons I think we're
it's
going
the
to take over
Democrats'
the House
fault.
because of her. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve anything
I'm joking.
because she'd love to have some victories on a date called November 3rd. Nancy Pelosi does not want to approve it. We are ready, willing, and able to do something. Don't forget, we've already approved 3 plans, and it's gone through, including the Democrats, in all fairness. This one she doesn't want. It's near the election because she thinks it helps her politically. I think it hurts her politically.
All right,
By the
Mr.
way,
Vice
just so
President,
you know, the Republican leader in the United States Senate said he
She's just
can't
like,
pass it.
I was
He
gonna
will
let you
not be able
talk,
to
but-
pass it. He does not have Republican votes. Why isn't he talking to his Republican friends?
let me follow up with you, Vice President
we made a
Biden,
deal, the
because let me
Republicans
ask
will pass
Vice
it.
President Biden a question. You are the leader of the Democratic Party. Why have you not pushed the Democrats to get a deal for the American
He
people?
Well,
is.
I have, and they have pushed it. Look, they passed
You're talking
this
about
act
Trump.
all the
Oh,
way back in
yes,
the beginning of the
he
summer.
is.
This is like it's not new. It's been out there. This HEROES Act has been sitting there. And look at what's happening. When I was in charge of the Recovery Act with $800 billion,
Yeah, no,
I was
I'm
able to give
sure everyone knows what you were
$145 billion
talking about.
To local
I don't
communities that
think
have
you
to balance
have
their
to-
budgets. The
you
states
have to
to balance their
quantify
budgets, and then
it.
have to
Everyone
fire,
knows.
they have to fire firefighters,
He
teachers,
knows.
first responders,
He
law
knows
enforcement
he's
officers,
like
so they
that.
can keep their cities and counties running.
He knows.
He will not support that. They have not done a thing for them. And Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. Let them go bankrupt. Come on.
I made my
matter with
prediction
Bill
at the
that was
beginning of
passed in
the.
House
Come
was a
on,
bailout
come on, he did it
of
again.
badly
he did it
run,
again. Come
high
on.
crime, Democrat, all run by Democrats, cities and states. It was a way of
That's
getting a
because
lot of money, billions
all
and billions
cities
of dollars to these
are
states.
blue.
It was also
All
a way of getting a
cities
lot
are
of money
Democrats.
from
Even
our
in
people's pockets to
Mississippi,
people that come into our country
the
illegally.
cities in Mississippi
We were going to
are
take care of
Democrat.
everything for them. And what that does, and I'd love to do that, I'd love to help them, but what that does, everybody all over the world will start pouring into our country. We can't do it.
I think this
was a
will
way of
end
taking
in
care
about
of
30
them.
minutes,
This
Calandra,
was a
but-
way of spending on things that had nothing to
But
do
you
with
can
COVID.
try.
as
We're
per your
only up
question.
until this is
But it was
over, and I think
really
it's
a
only
big
90 minutes
bailout
long.
for badly
But,
run
but
Democrat
thanks for stopping
cities
by.
and states.
All right,
By the
I
way,
want
if
to.
I get
Absolutely.
elected, I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to be an American president.
I'm running for
I
a
don't see
proud
red
Democrat
states
running
and
for
blue
Senate.
states.
You guys remember
what I
that?
see is American, United States. And folks, every
Running
single
for the
state
Senate.
out there finds themselves in trouble.
Oh, he's talking
They're
to
gonna
us
start
again.
laying off, whether they're red or blue, cops, firefighters, first responders, because teachers, because they have to balance their budget. And the founders were smart. They allowed the federal government to deficit spend to compensate for the United States of America.
I want to talk about the minimum wage, gentlemen. Mr. Vice President, we are talking a lot about struggling small businesses
Yes.
and business owners these days. Do you think this is the right time to ask them to raise the minimum wage? You, of course, support a $15 federal minimum
I
wage.
do.
I'd like
because
to
I think
answer
one of
that,
the things
but
we're gonna
I'm
have
not
to
going
do is
to.
we're going to have to bail them out too. We should be bailing them out now. Those small businesses. You got
He
one
is.
sixth of them going under.
I mean-
they're not going to be able to make it back. They passed a package
they're
that
both
allows
terrible,
us to be able to
Calandra.
call
They're
PPP.
both terrible.
Money is supposed to go to help them do everything from organize how they can deal with their businesses being open safely. Schools, how they can make classrooms smaller.
What I'm
how they can
watching
hire
for,
more
Calandra,
teachers,
it's
how they
not
can put
really
ventilation
what they
systems in.
say,
They
but
need
more
the
how
help.
they say it.
Businesses
For instance,
as
they're
well
both
as
coming
the
in
schools need the
with
help.
a
But
with
these guys will not help them.
with a
It's not
playbook on
giving them
how to
any of the
win the
money.
debate.
We are going to move
right?
on to
And we
immigration,
know what
but I
Trump,
want to
everyone
get your
knows
reaction.
Trump is
Small
going to
businesses
interrupt.
by raising
He's
the
going to
minimum wage.
insult.
That's not helping.
We know he's
I
going to
think
do
it should be a
that.
state option. Alabama is different than
The
New
problem
York.
is
New
that-
York is different from Vermont. Every state
If
is
that's
different.
his
It should be a
playbook,
state
You-
and
option.
you
he's
said very
We have
successful
to
at
help.
it.
It's very
Even
important.
if
we have to help our small businesses.
You
How
said-
are
We
you
don't
helping
like
your
it.
small businesses
He's
when
doing
you're
what he's
forcing
wanting to
wages?
do.
What's going to happen, and what's been proven to happen, is when you do that, these small businesses fire many of their employees.
You said
Not
very
true,
recently you would
by the way.
consider raising the federal minimum
it.
wage to $15
Say
an
it.
hour. You said recently you would consider raising the federal minimum wage to
What I
$15 an hour.
really
Is that
like-
still the case?
And I would consider it to an extent, but
In a
what I
second
really
administration?
like, in a second administration, but not to a level that's going to put all these businesses out of business. It should be a state option. Look, I've lived in different places. I know different places. They're all different. Some places, $15 is not so bad. In other places, other states, $15 would be
Okay, President Trump,
ruinous.
thank you. Quick
No
response,
one
Vice
should
President
work
Biden.
2 jobs, 1 job, be below poverty. People are making $6, $7, $8 an hour. These first responders,
Who's
all clap
making
for
$6
as they
an
come
hour?
down the street because they've
The
allowed
federal
us to
minimum
make it.
wage is
What's
$7.25.
happening?
Who's
They
making
deserve
$6?
a minimum wage of $15. Anything below that puts you below the poverty level. And there is no evidence that when you raise the minimum wage, businesses go out of business. That is simply not true.
We're going to talk about immigration. We're going to talk about immigration now, gentlemen.
In fact, the poverty
And we're gonna talk
minimum
about
wage
families within
does
these
put
contexts.
you over
Mr.
the
President,
poverty
your
level.
administration separated children from their parents at the border. At least 4,000
No,
kids.
$7.25
You've
is
since
not a lot of
reversed your
money.
zero
It's
tolerance
very,
policy,
very low.
But the United
But
States can't locate the
the
parents
idea
of
is,
more than
think of
500
what your
children.
lowest
So
worker
how
is.
will
It's
these
a
families ever
teenager,
be
you know,
reunited?
16-year-old teenager
Children
getting
are
a
brought
job.
here by
$7.25
coyotes
for
and
the
lots of
menial
bad
work
people,
that they do.
cartels, and
But
they're
it-
brought
but-
here
but
and they
minimum
used to
wage
use
is
them
not
to get
meant
into our country. We
to
now
support a
have
family.
as strong a border
It's
as
not.
we've ever had. We're over 400 miles of brand new wall. You see the numbers, and we
It's all
let
fun
people
and
in,
games
but they
till
have to
Biden
come
says,
in
"Come
legally, and they
on,"
come
and
in through
Trump
But
pulls
how
out
will you
the side.
reunite
Let me
these
just tell
kids
you.
with their
Let
families,
me just tell you.
Mr.
They
President?
built cages. You know, they used to say, I built the cages. And then they had a picture in a certain newspaper. And it was a picture of these horrible cages. And they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And
Oh,
that
they're
was
talking about
determined they were
the
built
immigrants.
in 2014.
Yeah, that's
that was
true.
him.
Do you
They
have a
built
plan to
cages.
reunite the kids
Yes,
with
we're
their
working on
families?
it we're trying very hard. But a lot of these kids come out without the parents. They come over through cartels and through coyotes and through gangs.
Vice President Biden, let me bring you into this
525.
conversation.
Do you think
Quick response and then another
when
question
Trump
to you.
says
500
coyotes
plus
that he's
kids
actually thinking
came
about the
with
canine
parents.
and not
They
people?
separated them at the
I think he's
border
like
to make it a
how do these
disincentive to
canines-
come to
how do
begin
these
with.
coyotes bring it like
Big,
he's
real
thinking
tough,
Wile E.
really
Coyotes
strong.
like
And guess
bringing
what?
kids over the
They
border.
cannot. It's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their parents, and it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
Let me ask you a follow-up
Kristen,
question.
they did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
they
to
did
that?
it. We changed.
did not
They built the
separate
cages.
they-
Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking about.
cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking
who built
about.
the cages?
What happened?
Who built the cages?
Parents were ripped. Their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And
Can
now
literally
they
fit a
cannot find
BLT in
over
the space between
500
Trump's hands.
sets of those parents, and those kids are alone.
I don't know what that means.
Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go.
I don't even know what
It's
that
criminal.
means.
It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you
I
about
will say this.
immigration.
They
10
went down.
seconds,
We
and then
brought
I need to ask
reporters,
you.
everything. They are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean.
But some
that
of
have
them
gotten
haven't been
such
reunited
But
with their
just ask
families.
one question. Who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice President. The
I'm not
Obama
gonna ask him
administration
that.
did fail to deliver
But we know the
immigration
answer.
reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well
No,
as
I know what a
family detentions
BLT
at the
is. Well,
border
bacon,
before
lettuce,
changing
tomato.
course.
That's a
So
BLT,
why should
bacon,
voters
lettuce,
trust you
tomato,
with an
but-
immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right.
There is
It took too long to get it right.
fatalities.
I'll be president of the United States, not vice
Fatalities? Are
president
you
of the
saying
United States.
fatalities?
And the fact
There's
is, I've made it very clear.
fatalities.
Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the
So-
United States Congress
so
a pathway to
here's what
citizenship
happened
for over
is, the
11 million
Obama
undocumented people.
administration,
And all of those
were
so-called
really
dreamers,
hard on
those DACA kids,
immigration. They
they're
were,
going to be
but they didn't
immediately
talk about
certified
it.
again
They
to be able
built
to stay in
cages.
this country.
They were
and put
separating
on a
kids
path to
from
citizenship.
their
The
parents and
idea
stuff like that. When they
are
illegally
being
came
sent
over,
home by this guy and they want to
illegally.
do that is they've gone to a country
Factories
they've
and
never
cages.
seen
Oh,
before.
that I don't know.
I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River and it's illegal. And you say, oh no, Mom, leave me here. I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many of them are model citizens. Over 20,000 of them are first responders.
I feel bad for the
out there
dreamers.
taking care of people during
I
this
do.
crisis. We
They're
owe
unfortunate
them.
victims.
We owe them.
They're unfortunate victims.
President
Kristen,
Trump,
he
your
had
reaction.
8 years to do what he said he was going to do. And I've
We
changed
did.
without having a
Oh, we did it.
specific. We got rid of catch and release. We got rid of a lot of horrible things that they put in and that they lived with. But he had 8 years he was vice president. He did nothing except build cages to keep children in.
Vice President
Wrong.
Biden, your response.
The
It's
catch
not-
and
it's-
release.
it's
You know what he's
not
talking
really
about there?
wrong.
If in fact you had a family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up for a hearing. And this is the first president in the history of the United States of
Wrong.
America that's anybody
That's
seeking
that's a
asylum
Trump quote. I
has to
think
do it in
Biden's
another
stealing
country.
a Trump quote.
That's never
with the
happened before in
wrong.
America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that I seek asylum based on the following premise: why I deserve it under American law. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of the river.
You know, you can't cross
President
the border
Trump, your
illegally.
response,
So
30
important.
seconds, and then we'll move
It just shows that he has no understanding of immigration or the laws. Catch and release is a disaster. A murderer would come in, a rapist would come in, a very bad person would come in. We would take their name.
Murderers and
we have
rapists
to
don't
release
count as
them
being a
into
very bad
our
person,
country.
according to Trump.
And then you
Because
say
he had
they
to
come back.
quantify it
Less
separately.
than 1% of the people come back. We have to send ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case. When you say they come back, they don't come back, Joe. They never come back. Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ, they might come back.
Okay,
But they're
President
very,
Trump, let's
very
give
few.
Vice President Biden a chance to respond, and then we're going to move on to the
Did
next
Trump
section.
just say it's stupid to
President
go
Biden,
back
your
to court
response.
for if
No,
you're an
the law is
illegal
totally
immigrant?
simply not true.
Well, check it out. They
I
don't
mean,
come
I'm a
back.
murderer. I killed a pig in
All right,
Minecraft.
let's move
But we
on
don't have to
the
worry
next
about it because they
section.
terminated it, so we don't have to worry about
Let's
it
move
anymore.
on to the next
And you have
section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right, let's talk about our next section, which is race in America. And I want to talk about the way Black and brown Americans experience race in this country. Part of that experience is something called the talk. It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin. Mr. Vice President, in the next 2 minutes, I want you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why
I
these
just want to
parents
point out
fear
that
for
I've
their
actually
children?
had
I
the
do.
talk with my
I do.
son.
You know, my daughter is a social worker, and
I want to
she's
point that
she's
out. I mean, I
written
hate
a lot
to say
about
it,
this.
but
She has a graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know, one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was going on. What I never had to tell my daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts, for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel and don't reach for the glove box because someone may shoot you. But a black parent,
You're
no matter
right,
how wealthy or
Calandra.
how poor they are,
You're
has to
right.
teach their child, when you're walking down the street, don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street. Making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over.
That's what he's saying,
Yes,
Clickers.
sir, no, sir.
Yes.
Hands on top of the wheel, because you are, in fact, the victim, whether you're a person making child of a $300,000 a year person, or someone who's on food stamps. The fact of the matter is, there is institutional racism in America. And we have always said,
No.
we've never lived up to it, that we hold these truths to
I
be
don't agree with
self-evident. All men and women are
institutional
created equal. Guess
racism,
what?
but there is
We have never,
institutional
ever lived up to
problems.
it. We've always constantly been
But I
moving the
don't
needle
think
further and
it's
further to
racism.
inclusion,
Other
not
racist
exclusion.
people, yes.
This is the first
Can they
president
be
to
in
come
the
along and
police?
says that's the
Yes.
end of that.
But it's not.
We're not going to do
the
that
institutional
anymore. We have to
problem
provide for economic
isn't a
opportunity,
racist
better education,
problem.
better health care, better access to
When
schooling,
you're in the system,
better
the fact that
access
you
to
can't get out,
opportunity to borrow
that's a
money to
problem.
start businesses.
Police
All the
officers
things
being
we
able to
can
murder
do, and I've laid
people
out a clear plan
and
as
the
to how to
prosecutors
do
not
those
wanting to
things.
prosecute
Just
them,
to give
that's
people
a
a shot.
problem.
It's
The
about
coroner
accumulating the
changing
ability
the
to have
cause of
wealth
death.
as well as it is
That's
to
a
be
problem.
free from
That's
violence.
institutional problem.
President
And
Trump,
but it's
same
not
question to
racial.
you, and let me remind you of the question. I would like you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Yes, I do. And again, he's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in
Calandra.
1994 when he did such
No,
harm to the black
they
community.
think they're
and they
better
were
than
called,
them.
and he called them
They
super
don't know.
predators.
They think.
And he said that. He said it, super
Because they're
predators.
not better than them.
And they have never lived that
They're
down.
really not.
1994,
We're all human
your crime
beings.
bill, the super predators. Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception
I really
Abraham
don't like
Lincoln,
talking about
possible
race.
exception, but the exception of Abraham Lincoln,
Possible
nobody has
exception.
done what I've done.
Possible.
Criminal justice reform.
I'm better-
Obama and
I'm better than
Joe
Abraham
didn't do
Lincoln.
it. I don't even
The
think
guy
they tried because they had
who
no chance
literally
of doing
freed
it.
the
They
slaves
might
from
have wanted to do
slavery.
it, but if you had to see the arms I had to twist to get that done,
I'm possibly
it was not
better
a pretty
than him.
picture. And everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out saying, gee, we have to defeat him. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity
That's not the
zones.
first time
It's one
he
of the
said
most
that either.
successful
That's what's
programs.
terrible.
People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the black and Hispanic communities, and then historically black colleges and universities. After 3 years of coming to the office, I love some of those guys. They were great. They came into the office and they said, I said, what are you doing? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because we have no funding. I said, you don't have to come back every year.
All right, I'll see you later, Calandra.
Because
Thanks
President
for stopping
Obama
by.
would never give them long-term funding, and I did. 10-year long-term funding, and I gave them more money than they asked for. Because
it'll
they
be
said, I
Minecraft,
think you
I
need
promise.
more. And
It'll
I
be
said, the only
Minecraft,
bad part
Calandra.
about this is I may never see you again, because I got very friendly with them, and they like me and I like them. But I saved historically black colleges and universities.
Wait,
Okay,
is this
and we're
mic
going to talk
muted?
about both of your
Is
records,
this
but your
mic muted?
response to that, Vice
My
President.
response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying. The fact of the matter is, in 2000, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is the guy who said, the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He
Is that
talked
website,
about marauding gangs, young gangs.
VoteNow.com or
people
whatever
who
that
are going to
Democrat
maraud our
website is?
cities. This is a guy who, in the Central Park five innocent black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death
I
penalty.
mean,
None
can
of
we
them
just
were-
have that
none
button
of
at
them
all
were
times,
guilty
Calandra?
Of
I
what
mean,
the crimes that
instead
are
of just it
suggested.
being in the
Look,
debate, can
and
we
talk
have that
about
button all the
granted,
time
he
for
did,
Trump?
in fact, let 20
Like,
people, he commuted
wouldn't
20
life
people
be
sentences.
grand?
We commuted over 1,000 people's sentences. Over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where the federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration. And one of these things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate minimum mandatories and set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail. We should fundamentally change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
But why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, even less than that? Why didn't you do it? You were vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do, and you're going to do this. But you were there just a short time ago, and you guys did nothing.
We did.
You know, Joe, I ran because of you. I ran because of
ran
Barack Obama.
because of
you did a
you.
poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run. I would have never run. I ran because of you.
Hey,
I'm
look,
looking at you
anybody who
now.
doesn't
You're a
like Trump,
politician. I
you
ran
can blame
because of you.
Biden.
All right, Vice President Biden, your response to that, and then I do have some questions for both of you.
Well, I tell you what,
They
I hope
do,
he doesn't look
Calandra,
at
and they
me
both
because
have some
what's happening
terrible
here is
points. They
you know
do.
who I
You're
am.
right.
You know
And
who
that's
he
why
is.
we're
You
streaming
know his
this.
character, you know my
Right,
character.
it's because a lot of
You
people
know our
live in
reputations for
really,
honor and
really
telling the
blue
truth.
areas, and a lot of people
I am
live in
anxious to
really,
have
really
this
red
race.
areas.
I am anxious
right?
to see this
And so
take
we're
place.
sitting in an area where
character
where
of the country is on the ballot.
it's okay
Our
to
character is on the
to-
ballot. Look
to
at us
see
closely.
it for
Let
how
me
it
ask
is.
some follow-up.
Excuse me.
Please
Without
respond,
the
and then we're
news.
going to have
Stuff
follow-up
is true
questions.
about Russia, Ukraine, China, other
Oh,
countries, Iraq.
peace.
If this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're
See you
calling
later.
you a corrupt politician.
Nobody's
Take a look
President
at the
Trump, I
laptop
want to
from
stay
hell.
on the issue
Who's
of race.
calling
We're
him a
talking
corrupt
about race.
politician?
From hell.
President
Whether or
Trump,
not he
we're
is.
talking about race right now,
Who's
and I do
calling
want to
him that?
stay on the
Who are
issue
these
of
people?
race. President Trump,
And I
you've
have to
just
respond to that.
Please.
Because there are 50 former national intelligence folks
In a while,
who said that
crocodile.
what this he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this is...
Wait, did we just freeze on her? What happened? What happened? What happened? Where'd it go? We lost it. Hold on. Oh, we gotta watch a Donald Trump ad. A Donald Trump.
I've been obsessed with belts for a long time. I wear a belt every day.
That's a
and there was like
terrible
three things that
belt.
always drove me crazy about
That's
belts.
a terrible
You have all these
idea.
holes, but you only use one of them. this big flap hanging off the front.
Oh, I can
and
skip
it. Usually
it.
sticks out under your
Skip.
shirt.
Described the Black Lives Matter movement as a symbol of
okay.
hate.
Are we back?
You've shared a video of a
Yes.
man chanting white power to millions of your supporters. You've said that black professional athletes exercising their First Amendment rights should be fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of
How do you like
Black
my
Lives
background,
Matter,
by the way?
they were
I'm in
chanting
the media room of the
pigs
White
in a
House.
blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street.
That was a horrible
And that was
thing
my
to say.
first glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing. As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
Well, what do you say to Americans
In
who are
this
offended
room!
by that rhetoric?
I don't know.
and by
I mean, I
the
don't know
videos?
what to say.
this
I got
room?
criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say.
He knows
They can say
everybody
anything.
personally
I mean,
who's
they
in
can
that
say
room right
anything.
now.
It's
Everyone.
It makes
And he
me
is
sad.
the least
because I am.
racist person.
I am the
He's
least
racist.
racist
but he's
person.
The
I
least
can't
racist.
even see the audience because it's so dark.
that admittance
but I
of
don't care
being
who's in the audience. I'm
racist?
the least racist person
Least
in this room.
racist.
Okay, Vice President Biden, let me ask you very quickly, and then I have a
Instead of
follow-up
saying
question for you.
I'm not
Abraham Lincoln here is
racist.
one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history.
Abraham
He
Lincoln,
pours fuel
yeah.
on every single racist
Boom!
fire.
Biden comes
Every
back.
single one. Started
Mic
off his
drop.
campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around and made everything worse across the board.
Yeah,
He says
you're-
about the poor boys.
you're
last time we
almost
were on
true.
stage here, he said, I told him to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy is a dog
He didn't
whistle
say
about as
stand
big as a
down and
foghorn.
stand ready.
President Trump, I'm going to give
He
you
didn't
10
say
seconds to
stand
respond,
ready.
and I have a
He
follow-up.
didn't say that.
You made a reference to Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come in? I mean,
You said
where
you're
did that-
Abraham
No,
Lincoln.
where did that? No.
You said-
I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community.
And I'm
I
saying-
didn't say I'm Abraham
I mean,
Lincoln. I said not since
It's actually
Abraham
a little
Lincoln
messy, but we
has
have the
anybody done
coffee
what I've
here.
done
We
for
got
the
our
black
mic.
community.
You
Now,
know, we got
you
like
have
an
done
ashtray
nothing
here.
other than the
I
crime
got a
bill,
kitty
which
sleeping
put
next to me right here.
God.
You can't see,
tens of
but
thousands of
but
black
I
men
try to keep a
mostly
little clip
in
bit of a
jail.
clear.
All right, let me-
And you know what?
let me
they
ask
remember
Vice
it
President
because if you
Biden a
look at what's
question.
happening with the voting right now,
Let me ask
they
Vice
remember
President
that
Biden.
you treated them
But you're right.
very, very badly.
What my
Take a
desk
look at what's
looks like
happening out there.
Vice
is a
President Biden, let
lot
me give you a
more
chance to respond within this
entertaining than
context.
what we're
Crime
watching
bills
now.
that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of young black men who had small amounts of drugs in their possession. They are sons, they are brothers, they're fathers, they're uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is
Yeah,
that
it's
in the
actually my
80s,
right.
we passed 100%,
I think.
all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake.
Yeah, this is my
I've been
right
trying
hand.
to change the sense, and particularly the portion on cocaine. That's why I've been arguing
I-
that, in
do I gotta
fact, we
flip?
should not send anyone
gotta
to
flip?
jail
Does this look like
for
my left
a
hand?
pure drug offense.
This
They should be
would look
going
like my
into
left hand, would
treatment
it? Doesn't it?
across the board.
Yeah, let's
That's
see.
what we should be spending money on. That's why I set up drug courts, which were never funded by our Republican friends.
There we go, let's
They
see.
should not be going to jail for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going into treatment.
Boom.
Treatment.
There we go.
That's what we've been trying
Boom.
to do. That's what I'm going to get done because
Right hand.
the American people have
There we go.
now seen
Kitty on my
that,
right.
in fact, it was a mistake to pass those laws relating to drug. But they were not in the crime bill.
But
Okay,
why
so-
didn't he get it done? See, it's all
Coffee
talk,
on my
no
left.
action with these politicians. Why didn't he get it done? That's what
Should we
I'm going to
disturb
do
the kitty
when I
cat?
become president. You were vice president along with Obama
Yeah,
as your president, your leader, for 8 years. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Jim.
We got a
Your
lot of
response.
it done. We released
didn't get
38,000. We
anything
got
done.
38,000 prisoners left from the.
You got
out-
nothing done.
38,000 prisoners were released from federal prison. We have.
You
there
know,
were over
Obamacare
1,000
came out,
people
but
who
they
were
got
given
nothing
clemency.
done.
We make, in fact, we're the ones
You know,
that put in the
we
legislation.
do have,
saying
the-
we could look at
you remember
pattern and
Cart-
practice of police departments and what they were doing, how
What
they
is
were
it,
conducting
Cars
themselves.
for Cash,
I could go
Clunkers
on,
for Cash,
but we
Cars for
began the
Clunkers,
process.
something like
We
that?
began the process. We lost an election. That's why I'm running to win back that election and change his terrible policy.
I
Quick
just
response,
asked,
and then we're
I
gonna
just
move
asked
on
one
to climate
question.
change.
Why didn't you do it in the 8 years, a short time ago? Why didn't you do it? You just said, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. You put tens of thousands of mostly black young men in prison. Now you're saying
Yes,
you're going
coffee
to
has
get,
always
you're
been
going
a,
to undo
no,
that.
no.
Why didn't you get it done? You had
No,
8
at
years
one
with
point,
Obama. You know why,
coffee
Joe?
was on
Because
my
you're all
right.
talk
It's
and
now
no
on my
action.
All
left.
right, Vice President
Because
Biden, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
We had a Republican Congress.
Oh, we had a republic, that's why.
That's the answer.
Well, you
Okay.
got to talk them into it, Joe.
All right.
Sometimes you got to talk them into it.
We're going to move on to our next section,
Like I
which
did
is
with criminal
climate
justice
change.
reform. I had
Okay.
to talk Democrats into it.
Gentlemen,
You did what we
we're running out of
already done.
time, so we got to get on to
You know
climate
why I got
change,
nothing
please.
done?
You both have very different visions on
Republicans.
climate change. President Trump,
Let's
you say
just
that
forget
environmental
that
regulations have hurt
we had a
jobs in the
Democratic
energy
Congress
sector.
for the
Vice
first 2
President
years
Biden,
of the
you have said you
presidency.
see addressing climate change as an opportunity to create new jobs. For each of you, how would you both
We're gonna
combat
not
climate
mention
change
that.
and
We're
support
not
job
gonna
growth
mention
at the
that.
same time? Starting with you, President Trump, you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air. We have the best, lowest number in carbon emissions, which
When
is
people
a big
jump off
standard that
bridges,
notice
I want
Obama
them to
goes
jump
with all
off
the
into the
time.
crystal
Not Joe.
clear
I haven't heard Joe
water,
use the
the
term
most
because I'm not sure
clearest
he knows
water
what
we
it
can have.
represents or means, but
When
I have
they-
heard
when they
Obama
jump
use
off
it.
that-
And
that
we
San
have
Francisco
the best
bridge.
carbon emission numbers that we've
Yep.
had in 35 years under this administration.
people run
We
their
are
cars in
working
their
so well
garage
with industry, but here's what
to
we
commit
can't
Sudoku,
do. Look at China. How
it's gonna be
filthy
with-
it is.
with super
Look
clean
at
emissions.
Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The air
Yep.
is filthy. The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses.
mic moved.
I will not sacrifice tens of millions of
let's
jobs,
move this. There we go.
thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord.
go.
It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in
I
until
wanna see the
2030.
bottom.
Russia goes
I wanna
back to a
make sure
low
that it's
standard.
shallow.
And
I
we
wanna make sure it's
kicked
nice
in
and
right away.
shallow.
It would have destroyed our businesses.
I don't
So,
want to be eaten
you
by
ready?
three-eyed
we
fish.
have done an incredible
Not gonna
job
happen.
environmentally. We have the cleanest air,
So-
the cleanest
so
water,
bad.
and the best carbon emission standards that we've seen in many, many years.
Many, many years.
Vice
Not
President
since
We
Biden.
haven't
Lincoln.
destroyed our industries.
Not
Vice President Biden, 2 minutes to you, uninterrupted.
Climate change and climate warming, global warming, is an existential threat to humanity. We have a moral obligation to deal with it. And we're told by all the leading scientists in the world we don't have much time. We're going to pass the point of no return within the next 8 to 10 years. 4 more years of this man eliminating all the regulations that were put in by us to clean up the climate, to limit the limit of emissions will put us in a position where we're going to be in real trouble. Here's where we have a great opportunity. I was able to get both all the environmental organizations as well as labor, the people worried about jobs, to support my climate plan. Because what it does, it will create
another right for
millions
everybody.
of new,
You
good-paying
like that,
jobs.
you
We're
like
going to
that?
invest in, for example, 50,000 charging stations on our highways. So that
We're
we
getting
can
a raw
own the
deal
electric
from the-
car market in
from the
future.
piglins.
In
A
the meantime,
raw
China
deal.
is doing that.
When
we're going to
I-
be in a position where
when
we're
I
going
become
to see to it
president,
that
we're gonna
going to
tax
take
those
4 million
piglins.
existing buildings,
You know, they're taking
and
our
2 billion
gold, and they're
existing
giving-
homes,
they're-
and
they're giving
retrofit them
us
so they
4
don't leak as
arrows.
much energy,
You know,
saving
I mean,
hundreds of
it's-
millions of barrels of
that's-
oil in the process,
these
and creating
piglins
significant number of jobs.
are
And
taking
by
our
the way,
gold,
the whole idea
and we're getting
of
nothing
what this
for
is
it.
all going to do, it's
You
going
know,
to create millions of jobs.
when I become
and it's going
president,
to clean the environment. Our health and our jobs
you're
are
gonna
at
get
stake.
more
That's what's happening.
than-
right now,
than
by the way,
6
Wall Street firms
BlackRock.
indicated that my plan will
Thanks,
in fact
Ricky.
create 18.6 million jobs,
Yes.
7 million more than his. This is from Wall Street, and I'll create $1 trillion more in economic growth
And
than his
and
proposal
fracking?
does.
Oh
Not on
yeah, we're
climate,
gonna
just on
frack the
economy.
nether like
President
crazy.
Trump, you're
They came
TNT
out
at
and said
level
very strongly,
16.
$6,500
know-
will be taken away from families under his plan. That his plan is an economic disaster. If you look at what he wants to do, if you look at his plan,
No,
his
I'm not quite
environmental plan,
sure
you know who
either of
developed
them
it?
have a plan.
AOC plus 3. They know nothing
AOC
about
plus
the
3?
climate.
Did they say AOC
I mean,
plus
she's
3?
got a good line of stuff, but she knows nothing about the climate, and they're all hopping.
I mean,
through
AOC's
hoops for
terrible, but
AOC plus 3.
Why are we talking about AOC?
Their real plan costs $100 trillion. If we had the best year in the history of our country for 100 years, we would not even come close to a number like that. When he says buildings, they want to take buildings down because they want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing. This is the craziest plan that anybody has ever seen. And
What
this
is this
wasn't
about
done
windows?
by smart people. This wasn't done by anybody. Frankly, I don't even know how it
Why
could be
would
good
I wanna be
politically.
president?
They want to spend $100
mean-
trillion. That's their real number. He's trying to say it was 6. It's $100 trillion. They want to knock down buildings and
Honestly,
build new buildings
Calandra,
with little, tiny,
because
small
I love
windows.
America.
and
I mean,
many
I
other
do.
things.
Okay.
And many other
I
things.
Let me have
I
the
am
Vice
a
President
proud
respond, and we're
Marine.
running out of
Crazy.
time, and we have a lot more
We'll
questions to
destroy
get
our
to.
country.
So let's hear from the Vice President.
I am
have
a
number more
proud
questions.
I don't know where
Marine.
he comes from.
I am a
I don't know where
proud
he comes up
American.
with
I
these
got to make
numbers.
sure my tie pin here is
$100 trillion.
100
Give
trillion.
me a break.
Round number.
This plan,
100 trillion.
This is plan is endorsed by every major environmental group and every labor group. Labor,
talking to us
because
again.
they know the future lies. The future lies in us being able to breathe, and they know there are good jobs in getting us there. And by the way, the fastest growing industry in America is the electric.
What round are we in?
Solar energy.
Are we in
and
5?
wind. He thinks wind causes cancer.
I think we
windmills.
gotta be
It's
close.
the fastest growing.
This has gotta be the
jobs,
last
And
question.
they pay good prevailing
It's only
wages.
90 minutes
45,
long, and-
50 bucks an hour.
and we're at that time
We
now.
can grow and we can be cleaner if we go the route I'm proposing.
President Trump,
Excuse me.
please
We are
respond, and then I
energy-
have some
we are
follow-up.
energy
Yeah, I'm going to
independent for the
respond
first time.
without your permission.
We don't need all
I'm
of
gonna
these
do it.
countries
I know
that we
you were
had
gonna
to
give
fight
it to
war
me.
over because we needed their
But
energy.
we're gonna do it
We are
anyway.
energy independent. I know more about wind than you do. It's extremely expensive.
It goes.
Kills all the birds. It's very intermittent. Got a lot of problems, and they happen to make the
Trump's
windmills in
idea of
both
knowing
Germany and
about
China.
wind.
And the fumes coming up, if you're a believer in carbon emission, the
Is the
fumes
stream
coming
lagging?
up
We
to
shouldn't
make
be
these
lagging.
massive windmills is more than anything that we're talking about with natural gas, which is very clean. One other thing.
I'm sorry
Prime
if it's
Minister
lagging.
said-
All right.
I love
see ya.
solar.
I'm
but
surprised
solar
you're still here,
doesn't quite have it
Calandra.
yet. It's not powerful yet.
Wind
to-
goes-
to really run our big, beautiful factories that we need to compete
Big,
with the world.
beautiful factories.
So
That-
False.
it's
that
all a pipe
glorious
dream. But you know
black
what we'll
smoke
do? We're going to have the
is-
greatest
I mean,
economy in the world. But if you want to
natural
kill
clouds.
the economy, get rid of your oil
How-
industry.
how-
You want?
Are you
and
going to
what about
measure that
fracking?
wind?
All right,
Now-
let me
now we
let
have
me
to
have
ask
let
him
me
about
allow
fracking.
Vice President
I
Biden to
have
respond.
never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is
Show
he's
the list.
flat lying.
Put it on your
Would you
website.
rule out banning fracking?
I do rule out banning fracking because the answer we need
Got to get
other
Pennsylvania. That's why we're talking about
industries
fracking. If
to
you want to know,
transition
we're
to
talking
get
about
to ultimately
fracking because
complete
Pennsylvania
zero
is a
emissions
swing
by
state,
2025.
and they
what
do
I will do
a
with
lot of
fracking
fracking.
over time is make
Is
sure that
fracking
we
bad?
can capture the emissions
An argument
from
can
the
be made.
fracking. Capture the emissions from
But
gas.
that's why we're talking
we can
about it,
do
for
that,
Pennsylvania.
and we can
That's
do
why we
that by
talk about it.
investing money in doing it.
Because
But it's a
Pennsylvania is a
transition
swing state, and
to
they do
that.
a lot of fracking.
I have one more question in this pod, and then we
Excuse me.
we
If
have
you wanna
He was
know
against
why we're
fracking.
talking
He
about
said
it.
it. I will show that to you tomorrow.
He did say
I
it.
am against fracking. Until
did
he
say
got the
it.
nomination, went to Pennsylvania, then he said, but you know what, Pennsylvania? He'll be against
Yeah,
it very
see,
soon
we're talking
because
about
his party
Pennsylvania.
is totally
Keith's
against
dad
it.
Fracking
knows
on federal
politics.
land.
I don't
said
watch.
no fracking. and
I don't
oil
watch
on federal
Let
land.
me ask this
MSNBC,
final
I don't watch
question in
CNN,
this
I don't watch
section,
Fox.
and
I
then I
watch
wanna move
stuff
on to
like
our
this.
final section.
I watch
President Trump,
the
people of color
actual
are much
things
more
and I
likely
make
to
my
live
own
near oil
choices. That's what
refineries
you guys
and
need
chemical
to do.
plants. In Texas,
You
there
know,
are
if I
families
could
who worry the
implore you
plants
guys
near
to
them
do
are
anything,
making them sick.
don't
Your
listen to the
administration has rolled
opinionists.
back regulations
Watch
on these kinds
this,
of facilities.
make your own
Why should these
decisions.
families give you
You
another
know,
4
that's
years in
it.
office?
Don't watch
the
the
families that
opinionists.
we're talking about are
Don't do it.
employed heavily, and
They're
making
very
a lot
biased,
of money, more money than they've ever made.
You know, and
If you look
a lot
at
of
the
times
kind
they're
of
not going to
numbers
say
that
true
we
stuff.
produce
It
for
doesn't matter
Hispanic,
what side
for
they're
black,
on.
for Asian, it's 9 times greater the percentage gain than it was in 3 years than it was under
Oh, thank you,
8
Clifford.
years of the two of them.
That's
to put it
why we're
nicely.
streaming these. That's
9
really
times
why.
more.
Is I
Now,
you know, this is what I do.
Somebody
I
lives,
do
I have
this.
not heard
You know,
the
I play
numbers or the
Minecraft, but I do
statistics
politics.
that you're saying,
A
but
little
they're
bit.
making a tremendous
But
amount
this
of
is
money.
how I do it.
Economically,
We're
we
watching
saved it,
C-SPAN.
and I saved it
We're
again
not
a
watching
number of
Fox
months ago
News.
when oil
We're
was
not watching
crashing because
CNN.
of the
We're not
pandemic.
watching
We saved
MSNBC.
it.
We're not watching
We
any of
got,
that
say what you
stuff.
want
That's
about
not
relationship.
news. It's
We
really
got
not.
Saudi Arabia,
C-SPAN is news, but it's
Mexico,
kind of
and
boring.
Russia
But we're gonna
to
we're
cut back
fixing that.
way back. We saved
Am
our
I
oil
interrupting
industry,
Trump?
and
I'm
now
sorry,
it's very
Trump.
vibrant
Am
again.
I-
And everybody
am
has
I-
very inexpensive gasoline.
Vice President Biden, your response, and then
hold
we're
on,
going to
Trump.
have a final
Let me
question for
respond
both of
to
you.
My response is that those people live on what they call fence lines. He doesn't understand this. They live
I don't
near
understand it
chemical
anyway.
plants
What are you
that, in
talking
fact,
about?
pollute, chemical
Vice
plants and oil
President
plants
Biden.
and refineries that pollute. I used to live near that when I was growing up in Claymont, Delaware. And all the more oil refineries in Marcus Hook and
Is he
Delaware
keep
River
switching
than
where
there
he
is
lived?
any place, including
Didn't he
in
say he
Houston
lived
at
in
the
New
time.
Jersey?
When my mom would get in the car and when there were first frost to drive me to school,
When
turn
I
the
lived in
windshield up,
North
there'd be
Pole,
oil slick
Alaska,
in the window.
which
That's why
exists,
so
by
many
the way.
people in my state
When I
were
lived in
dying
North Pole,
and getting
Alaska.
cancer. The fact is, those frontline communities,
When
it
I
doesn't
lived
matter
in
what
Maui.
you're paying them, it matters how you keep them safe. What do you do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions the pollutants coming out of those fence line communities.
Okay, I have one final
Would he
question.
close
It
down
falls-
the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close
it
down the
falls-
oil
By the way, I
industry?
would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop
Why would you do that?
because the oil
Oh,
industry
yeah, why
pollutes
would you do that?
significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal, but
That's
you
a
can't
big
do
statement.
that. Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time, and I'd stop giving to the oil industry. I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas. Excuse me, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do
All
give
right.
it to solar and wind.
We
And
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement
I mean,
in
they-
terms
they
of
do.
business. That's the biggest
I mean,
statement.
that's just
Because
federal
basically
government
what he's
federal
saying
government
is he's
statement.
going to
Actually,
destroy
if I recall, it
the oil
comes
industry.
from
Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Obama,
remember
Biden.
that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10
those-
seconds to
that
respond,
money
and then I have
comes
to get to the
from-
final question. Vice President
he,
Biden.
that's just something he hasn't
Takes everything out of
stopped.
context. But the point is, look, we have to move toward a net zero emissions. The first place to do that by the year 2035 is in energy production, by 2050 totally.
All right. One
Is he gonna
final
get
question
China
to
to
both
do
of
it?
you. No, we're finished with
Is
this.
he
We
going
have
to
to
get
move on
China
to
to
our
do it?
final question. We have to
I'm
move
going
on
to
to our final
rejoin Paris
question.
Accord and make China abide by what they agreed to.
All
That'll
right, this
cost
is
you
about
$3
leadership,
Currently not
gentlemen.
doing. And
this
nobody
first
is making them
question
do it.
does go to you, President Trump. Imagine this is your inauguration day.
Yeah, I've had one of
What
those.
will you say in
clickers.
your address to
I've had-
Americans?
They're actually not very
who did
expensive.
not
They're
vote
like
for
$10
you?
bucks or
You'll each
15
have
bucks.
1 minute,
You can order
starting
them.
with you, Mr.
We have to make
They're
the
not that
country
expensive.
totally successful as it was prior to the plague coming in from China. Now we're rebuilding it, and we're doing record numbers,
Kodak used to make
11.4
one.
million
They don't
jobs
make
in a
them
short
anymore,
period
but
of time,
Kodak
et
used to
cetera.
make one
But
back
I
in
will
the
tell
day.
you, go
Back in
back.
like 2012, actually.
Before the plague came in, just before, I was getting
plague.
calls
The
from
plague.
people that were
From
not
China, by the
normally
way.
people that would call me. They wanted to get together. We had the best black
Gang sign!
unemployment numbers in the history of our country. Hispanic, women, Asian,
I don't know.
people
I
with
don't know,
diplomas,
clickers.
with
A
no
Samsung
diplomas,
of some
MIT
sort.
graduates, #1 in the class. Everybody had the best
I don't
numbers.
really use the
And
phone
you know
for
what?
very
The
much.
other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify. Success
like
is
this.
going to bring us together. We are on the road to success, but I'm cutting taxes, and he wants to raise everybody's
There you go.
taxes, and he wants to put
Oh,
new regulations on everything.
Is this
He
my
will
phone?
kill it. If he gets in, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401ks will go to hell, and it'll be a very, very sad day for this country.
All right. Vice President Biden, same question to you. What will you say during your inaugural address to
What we say
Americans who did not vote for you?
I will say, I'm an American
F
president.
you. I mean,
I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me. And I'm going to make sure that you're represented. I'm going to give you hope. We're going to move. We're going to choose science over fiction. We're going to choose
What would
hope
you
over
say to 'em
fear.
right
We're going to
now?
choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. We can grow this economy. We can deal with the systemic racism. And at the same time, we can make sure that our economy is being run and moved and
Did they just
motivated by
intentionally not
clean
center
energy,
Biden?
creating
Look,
millions of
look,
new
they're trying
jobs.
to fix it. They're trying
and
to
that's
fix
the
it.
fact. That's what
Look.
we're going to do. And I'm going to say,
camera keeps
as I said at the
moving ever
beginning,
so slightly. Do you
what
see
is
it?
on the
Look,
ballot
look
here
at it
is the
moving.
character of this
What is it
country.
doing?
Decency, honor, respect, treating people with dignity, making sure that everyone has an even chance.
That's
I'm
what
going
he's
to
gonna
make sure
say,
you
clickers.
get that. You haven't
If you don't
been getting it
vote
the
for me,
last
you're
4
not
years.
getting
All
the
right,
free
I want to
netherite.
thank you both for a very robust hour and a half, a fantastic debate. Really appreciate it. President Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden, thank you to Belmont University for hosting us tonight. And most importantly, thank you to those watching tonight. Election Day is November 3rd.
I mean,
don't forget to vote.
Thank you, all
everyone,
you
and have a
guys that
great
are
night.
watching and commenting. You made this. You're the ones that make this entertaining. You really are. You know, I can do my making fun of it, you know, but I love reading your comments. And oh, we got a mask. Wait, what are we doing? What's happening? Oh, Biden's putting his mask on. Trump's like, I'm immune. I can give it to everybody else, but I can't get it anymore. You know, a mask is technically so we don't give it to anybody else, but and laugh at him. I mean, half the country's gonna laugh. I wish all the country would laugh. But what is Biden doing? What was that? Was he trying to like smell her hair? What was going on? And never mind. We're not making fun of clothes. We're not making fun of clothes. I won't do it. I'm not sinking down to that level. Not sinking down to making fun of clothes for anybody. Not making fun of the person who came dressed to mourn a death, or the one that's wearing a tablecloth. We're not making fun of anyone's dresses. Don't do it, guys. It's not happening. All right, we're gonna pause it. Let me bring this up. All right. So, I mean, honestly, I think I'm going to go to bed. We're not switching over to Minecraft, unfortunately. We're gonna leave that here. You know, we're gonna let this soak in for me. That's what we did today. But I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a heads up. Fridays, I really like to do a late night stream. I really do. I really like to get the coffee in and go till like, 4 in the morning, stuff like that. Yeah, last week's curtains. However, I'm not sure that's going to happen this weekend. We'll have to see. I'm going to play it by ear, but my weekend is a little on the busy side. But I do want to stream. You're right, Clicker. You're right. Ellen's own company doesn't want to buy a monitor. You're right. I have no excuse. The price has got to be good. I'm thrifty like that. I mean, by the way, when you see the comments here on the screen, that is when I see the comments as well. It's happening sync, so you can tell how delayed you are by when you type something in to when I see it to when it appears on the screen. But anyway, thank you guys, AJ Clickers. I am a chief. I'm a dad. I don't turn my heat on. I don't turn my AC on if I can help it. I mean. But thank you also, Calandra. I believe Keelan was in here for a little bit. Thank you guys. I appreciate everybody. Yeah, he was. So you guys are awesome. And yeah, we're gonna, every day that goes by, we're gonna try to make the stream a little better. We're gonna become more professional and make things look really cool and stuff like that. And I might not say it often, but I do this for just pure out enjoyment. So thank you guys for watching it. You guys have a good night. I'll see you guys later. Bye.